match of the Rugby Championship. This one, the rematch between South Africa and Australia. Last week's game, it was unpredictable. It was almost unbelievable in some regards. 22-0 up. The South Africans found themselves then be beaten by the Australians, who came back with 38 unanswered points. It is not what we are used to seeing, but this game, it is redemption for the Boks, or will it be 2 from 2 here for the Wallabies? Looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides, we are sitting around an hour and a bit away from the start of this contest, so quite a bit of time, but we've got quite a few stats to look through from last week, the changes in the lineups, and also in terms of the overall Rugby Championship, what is still to come for these teams as well. But looking through, first of all, at the South African lineup, they have made quite a few changes compared to what we did see in Test match number 1. Oxen Shaq keeps his spot as the number 1. Malcolm Mark slots in at 2, and then Thomas Tatoy, he comes into the starting lineup rather than having Wilco Low, who will instead make his way off the bench for this matchup. But overall, you know, this is a front row that can get the job done. Now, both sides last week had 100% in their scrum accuracy. New Zealand and Argentina did not in their contest, but in this game, we did see some very big success when it came to the set piece. Arges Neyman will slot in alongside Ruan Nokia as the locking duo. So 2 big changes there compared to Eben Etzebeth and Ludiacha, who we did see last week. Marco van Staden slots in as the number 6. So he is the lone loose forward who keeps his spot in the side. Franco Mostert, number 7, and Jean-Luc Dupré slots in as the number 8. So no Peter Steph Toy, that is due to an injury, and the same could be said about Sia Khaleesi. He is also out due to injury, and he may be missing from those New Zealand versus South Africa fixtures. Grant Williams keeps his spot as the 9, with Andre Pollard slotting in as the number 10. So no Mani Libok for this match, not even off of the bench. Damien Dialendi alongside Jesse Creel in the midfield combo, so no Andre Esterhuizen. So pretty much like I said, a lot of changes coming here for Rassie and his side. Cheslin Colby back into the team. He is the number 11. Kanan Moody, out on the right wing. He came off the bench in last week's game. And then at number 15, initially, it was going to be Willie Leroux, but due to a late injury withdrawal, it means that Apalele Pasi goes back in that number 15 jersey for the Wallabies. They have also made a few changes, and the thing is, a lot of these changes for these sides were forced due to injury. It just shows you how physical of an outing last week's game was. Tom Robertson slots in at number 1. That is for James Slipper. Billy Pollard at 2, and Taniela Tupou slots in as the number 3. Billy Pollard, busy throughout that last match, actually had a much more successful line-out than the South Africans, and also made 13 tackles throughout Test match. Number 1, Nick Frost slotting in at 4. He got a couple crucial line-out steals with Will Skelton, the big man with physicality, as the forefront at 5. And the loose forward trio, Tom Hooper, Fraser McWright, he made more tackles than anyone in round 1 of the Rugby Championship. And Rob Valentini comes in for the injured Harry Wilson. It's not a bad switch here for the Australians, as Valentini, he will try and epitomise that kind of attacking spirit of Harry Wilson, and also that physicality that he brought to the game as well. Nick White and James O'Connor, still the very experienced 19 combination here for the Australians. Leonard Cattell alongside Joseph Suali'i in the midfield. Corey Toole gets his international debut. That is for the injured Dylan Peach. Max Jorgensen out on the right wing, and then Tom Wright and number 15. There are quite a few statistics. Hang on. Has something changed late here? I see there Clubber Kanye is on the bench. Franco Mostert is also on the bench. We're going to have to look through at the starting lineup for the Boks again, because they have made a late change. Wait a minute. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Forget that. It's last week's highlights. I just had a really poor moment there. We are a little bit early compared to when the coverage normally starts here in New Zealand, so I thought there were a few changes. I panicked big time, but this is in fact the lineup that we are going to get to see. We have got there in the chat, did you watch Wallaroos versus Samoa? I didn't, but I saw the score, and that was definitely not flattering for the Samoans, unfortunately. A couple one-sided games so far in the Women's World Cup. And we have good there, g'day mate, I'm very sleepy, but I'm here to see the lads do the double. Hopefully they sweep the Boks, says Katzenau, and if they were able to, that would be absolutely huge for the Australians. It would also be huge for the other teams in the Rugby Championship, particularly, of course, New Zealand would like that a lot. Argentina would feel like they're in a decent position to be able to try and finish above that 4th place too. We have got there Michael in the chat, as well as Ruth and Wen. from a little bit earlier on. Bruce is here too, saying about the Cheetahs result over the Lions. A big win for the Cheetahs at home up against that Golden Lions side. Good to be back on your channel, Hamish. Love your work, personality, and spirit, bro. Much love from Johannesburg up the block. Says, bye, Ted. It is very much appreciated you being back for this game. We've still got a little while until the match does get underway, but plenty to look through and plenty to enjoy in terms of that build-up and the anticipation that is forever building heading into this matchup. Morning, Hamish and all. That Oz lineup looks far, far more dangerous than last week, not because of any changes, says Thuds Rays. Well, that's the thing. I think that because they had 100% in the scrums, Tom Robertson's got a lot of pressure here because to fill in for James Slipper, who's the most experienced option for the Wallabies at the moment, like that is going to be a big hit, whether they would want to admit it or not. Having Rob Valentini come into the loose ball trio, I think is going to be huge for them. Definitely if he has his work rate that he had for the match of the British and Irish Lions tour that he got to play in. And then Corey Toole out on the wing, he's got a lot of pace. He's going to have Kane and Moody in front of him today, which should be a must-see head-to-head. Then out on the other wing, you've got the youngster Max Jorgensen up against Cheslin Colby. Like, that's going to be pretty intense. See how they go. I thought the Colby guy is injured. Are they putting him in a dangerous place? He was injured last week, but he's all right now. You might be thinking of Kurtley Arendse or Edward van der Merwe. They both wear headgear, and they are both injured for this week. So, yeah, quite a long, extensive injury list starting up for the Springboks in this Rugby Championship. Of course, heading into the comp, they already had 3 number 8s injured. Nwano Augustus, Cameron Honeycomb, and Eldrick Lowe. That list just keeps on getting longer, though. Lucia Khaleesi now the next man to drop. Due to an injury, we have got there. Hi, says Fabiano. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Do you think the Springboks going to win? I think they'll play a lot better than they did last week. I did predict them to win by 10 in the preview, but I also did predict them to win by 10 last week. So I wouldn't trust my predictions. But I just feel like Australia, throughout that last 60 minutes, like looking through at some of the stats, we will be going into them a little bit later on this build-up, but a lot of the statistics from round number 1, you would not think South Africa lost that game. Like, yes, there's a couple that don't favour them, such as the line-out. They had the worst line-out in the competition for round number 1, but they had, I believe, the most metres carried, the most clean breaks, all those sort of statistics were in their favour, and a lot of those came in that first 20-minute period. We're seeing it here on the highlights from last week. You know, they were formidable in that first quarter of the game, and then it just seemed to fall apart afterwards. But something that I noticed when looking through at the statistics that I want to brush upon later on, I think was a little bit of a telling sign as to what made the momentum switch in that game. Hey, Hamish, you did predict Simon Parker again in the call-up. Says David, yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row that I haven't been a mile off in terms of the All Blacks predictions. The only one that I got wrong in the starting lineup this week was Tamaiti Williams. I thought they might chuck him in for a start, but instead he makes his way off the bench as Pollard playing 80 minutes. They have got Sasha Feinberg and Ngumazulu, which I guess is the perfect transition into looking through at the benches for this game, and it is a bomb squad and a half here for the South Africans. Marnus van der Merwe, Boan Fenta, and Wilco Lowe there as the number 18. So, of course, last week we did see Wilco get the start. Instead, we'll be making his way off the bench for this contest. Eben Etzebeth and Ludiacha, the 2 starting locks, both coming off the bench. So, when you look through at this Springbok side, you've got Etzebeth, Diacha, Mostert, also Snyman, Nokia, and to a certain extent, Dupree, all as your kind of line-out options. So maybe that is because of the slight decision that we saw last week from South Africa at line-out time and a couple steals coming along the way. Perhaps they feel with a few more line-out options that may be a bit more unpredictable for the Australians. But those 2 men making their way off the bench later on in a game that is certainly going to solve, I believe, the last 20 minutes of a contest, if not maybe 30. If they go a little bit earlier, Kwaka Smith also there. He seems to partner well with Eben Etzebeth when he makes his way off with the bench. Kobus Reinach and Sasha Feinberg and Ngumazulu, that number 23 for the Australians. They've got Brandon Payanga, Mosa Angus Bell, got quite a lot of praise from his performance last week. Zane Ngor as the number 18. Jeremy Williams, Nick Champion to Chris Pigney, who did get taken out of that Australian side late for Tane Edmed, who also finds himself in this lineup. Tate McDermott, who did have some pretty decent stats off the bench, and then Andrew Callaway, the injury replacement for Dylan Peach, made his way on relatively early. We have got watching from Namibia, says Cisco, and it is greatly appreciated. We always have so many different people from so many different countries tuning in, and it is always awesome for these Rugby Championship matches. South Africa 1, says Zach there, and Robertson scrummaging made Genge and Piari work in the second Lions test, but unsure he'll be okay at loose yet. Says Studs Rays, that's the tricky part, isn't it? Knowing as well how these referees are going to police the scrums. I do think that at times games have been a bit of a lottery, and normally after the first scrum or two, you know roughly who's going to get the advantage, but didn't see a huge amount of scrums in the first match. This game is anticipated to be played in rain at Cape Town Stadium, so I do think that that will be a big factor heading into it. There will be a little bit of slipperiness to deal with early on for the two sides. I really think last week was a fluke. Australia won't do it again, says Devos. See, that's the thing. I want to say the same, but at the same time, you know, when you look through at what they did in the British and Irish Lions tour, there's something building here for Australia. And don't get me wrong, I have picked South Africa to win this game, but I don't think it will be as one-sided as some first anticipated. I actually think that Australia currently, anyway, are actually in a pretty good place for their rugby union side of things. But to do it twice in a row in South Africa would be almost unheard of. So the Boks will want that redemption. They have stacked their side for it. Bongi drop goal, says Floyd Kingy. And also the Kangaroos might get their pouches searched today, says Slum. And also we have got the answer Jimbo's question, please. Honeycomb injury, says Bruce. Was looking forward to Honeycomb after this ripping up, or his ripping up of the URC. How bad is his injury? Pretty bad. So what happened? It's a really unfortunate scenario, right? Because Honeycomb did a tip tackle on Sia Kolisi. And because there were Springbok implications just around the corner, and obviously Kolisi knew that Honeycomb would get selected in the Boks side, he kind of went to the ref, no, like it doesn't need to be anything. Like it doesn't need to be a yellow card, doesn't need to be a red. I think it might have been a yellow in the end, maybe. But yeah, he was like, no, it doesn't need to be a red. Don't make it a red. And then one or two breakdowns later, when Honeycomb was on there, Sia Kolisi did a clean out and ended up bending Honeycomb's knee the complete wrong way, and now he's actually out for longer than if he had just got suspended. So it's a weird way that it ended up working out, but either way, Honeycomb was missing from the July internationals and probably will be missing till round about November, I would say, if he's lucky. It did look like a pretty extensive knee injury. But yeah, it was just weird how it happened, how Kolisi had said, no, don't worry about it, don't take him off, and then ended up accidentally injuring him for even longer than it would have been. We have got there, hi Amish, have a fun time commentating, says Diane. Do appreciate that very much. And of course, we have got that match between New Zealand and Argentina later on tonight as well that we will be covering on the channel. If the Springboks lose again, then we have serious issues, says 9HD. Well, that's the thing. They aren't expected to lose twice in a row pretty much ever. You know, it's one of those ones that last week, I mentioned it in the build-up as well. I said, if Australia pull off the upset somehow here, it won't be by more than 10. It could be less than 7, but instead it's 16. 16 was not what anyone saw coming. Player losing knees, worse than head contact, says Anthony. Well, that's the thing. Like, you can always strap a knee, but it never quite works the same as it did beforehand. It's like someone like a Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu. I know that he's had a couple injuries in his leg. Someone like a Wallace Satiti. You've seen how much that just those little tweaks can cause long-term damage to those ligaments. We have got their winners, the Springboks red card till. I assume you're talking about Jasper Vesa. I think he's still got one more week of his suspension and then he's allowed to play again, but he wasn't initially selected in Rassie's side, so he could be playing up against New Zealand if Rassie renames a different side for the New Zealand side of things. Boks have lost to Prea and Quagga, says in Soviet. And also we have got there, the Springboks lose again. Then we have serious issues, and also I did miss one earlier on. He's such a wizard. Says fun time for Harry Potter. And the weather doesn't look great in Cape Town. Yeah, it's supposed to be raining for this matchup. Who is the Springbok fly half? Will be Hondre Pollard for this matchup. We have got there, Springboks look unfit. Too much luxury salary, says Ben. I don't know if it's fitness that's the problem. And I mentioned about a lot of the statistics were actually in their favour. There were just some really big mistakes last week. How many more minutes before kickoff? Sitting around 50 or so until the kickoff. So it's a little while, of course. There's still a few minutes to go, but we are going to be looking through at some stats from last week and also to do with what is coming up in this Rugby Championship. The chat is going at 1,000 miles an hour already, so it is greatly appreciated you all being here for this contest, of course. But looking through at what happened last week, we have to bring it up. The score 38 points to 22 in favour of Australia. That was their first win in South Africa in over a decade and their first win at Ellis Park in 60-something years. It wasn't that close. South Africa were up 22-0. There was no way that anyone was predicting the comeback that we saw, but I don't know what was the little tweak for the South Africans that just seemed to have it fall apart. But overall, they still did some very good things throughout that matchup, and we are going to show that in terms of the leading players in certain stats. Someone like a Jesse Creel, a Peter Steph Toy, he did extremely well. Even though some people considered him quiet, he was still one of the main players when it came to statistics from that first match. New Zealand also getting themselves a win in round number 1, 41 points to 24. That was over the Argentines. They also received the bonus points. So currently on the table, New Zealand and Australia extremely close, and it's just that one extra point that the Kiwis were able to get for themselves that does lead them to sit in first. But at the end of this round, could of course look very different. The world rankings implications for this contest. If Australia can win by the same margin as they did last week, now that would be, like I said, almost considered an impossible task. But if they did it, they would sit 4th in the world rankings. South Africa would drop to 6th and go from 1st to 6th in just 2 weeks, 2 matches. That would be crazy. But moving on to what is coming up next in the Rugby Championship in 14 days' time, of course, the Boks and the Wallabies will once again be in action. Australia taking on Argentina. That is the first match on the Saturday for us here in New Zealand. That's going to be a very early kickoff for you guys in South Africa, 6:30 a.m. on the Saturday morning. And then New Zealand versus South Africa, the 9:05 a.m. kickoff. No one will want to miss that game, I can tell you that right now. Eden Park Test match. There is a record on the line. New Zealand having many, many wins in a row. But South Africa, they want to knock down the fortress. And then, of course, we still got more games after that. The Bledisloe Cup coming up for New Zealand and Australia. And then South Africa versus Argentina, a series that went 1-1 last year. We do get to see them go head-to-head again. One at home, one away for the Boks and that match. But there are 22 more messages in the comments. If I do miss any messages, by the way, I will go back and read them after the live stream. So if I do miss it, I do apologise, but there are so many coming through. When is Cheslin back? He is already back. He's going to be playing on the left wing for this contest, going head-to-head up against Max Jorgensen, someone who did have some pretty decent numbers last week in that game up against the South Africans. He also had some pretty decent defensive moments, which I do think is quite important heading into this matchup. We saw how much missed tackles impacted how Test match number 1 went. Evening, Hamish. Let's hope for the Boks to keep the mistake ratio down. Says Josh there. And yeah, I hope you are doing extremely well, Josh. I hope you've been busy. And yeah, I hope you're excited for this matchup. If the Boks lose this, it goes dark for them. Then it's All Blacks, says Danium. That's correct. I think that if South Africa lose this game up against Australia, then pretty much for any chance of winning the Rugby Championship, they have to beat New Zealand twice in New Zealand. Now, that's not impossible. We saw that South Africa won 2 games at home up against New Zealand last year. But on the road, with so many injuries for both sides as well, it's pretty unpredictable what we're going to see as the lineups for Eden Park. And of course, the next kind of 12 or so days, everyone gets to anticipate what is going to be seen. Maybe only about 7, because Rassie does announce his side so early in the week. To be fair to the Boks, the energy input in the first 20 was off the charts. Altitude, that's going to bust anyone, says Jimbo. And we have got there, tell you what, it's going very quick, overconfidence and complacency. I don't know. I think that Rassie definitely said that he felt like they got the tactics a little bit wrong in that last game. It wasn't so much the selection from the sounds of it. It was more so they just didn't quite get tactically what they wanted to do out of that game. We have got there hoping the Boks redeem themselves from Chance and Rassie going to throw Biltong if the Wallabies win. I don't think that they'll want to throw the Biltong. Biltong's quite expensive. So he would be better off feeding it to his players, I would think, and they would be more than happy with a feed of Biltong after the game alongside a beverage. We have got there that will really mess with the Rugby World Cup draw. Absolutely. You know, if South Africa was somehow down to 6, which straight away I want to say I don't think will happen. You know, I think that if they get themselves the win here, they will be right back on the good direction and the right track heading towards that World Cup draw. But these players will be feeling more pressure perhaps than they have felt in quite some time, because at the end of the day, they've gone from the favourites of the Rugby Championship, or at least close to the favourites, to now almost a little bit of an underdog, playing catch-up which I think actually doesn't do too badly for the South Africans because they do love that, I guess, that underestimation of their side. That's normally when they turn up and play their best rugby. So I would be nervous if I'm Australia here, but at the same time, I do think that South Africa will be nervous for this match as well. And good luck, Bokke. You got your work cut out for you. You must play your hearts out for the full 80 minutes. Go, Bokke, go, says Iris. Yeah, and I do think that the 6-2 split off the bench was definitely Russie's plan of trying to make them stronger in the later stages of the game. I do imagine that, around 30 minutes or so might be when we start seeing those switches be made. Maybe we see all 6 forwards at once, although I think it would be a bit of a risk with the amount of injuries that we saw last week for both sides. I don't think anyone will be emptying that bench earlier than they absolutely have to. So glad Cheslin is back. He could be a game changer in this contest, and it will be a great way of seeing where Max Jorgensen is at the moment in terms of that level, because at the end of the day, you've got Cheslin Colby, who is an absolutely world-class player. There's no denying that. You've got Jorgensen, who wants to try and prove himself on the international stage, and who better to try and prove yourself against than who some regard as the best winger in world rugby. Or at least most people, if they don't say first best winger, they say top 3. Please only read this message after the live stream. Oh, I read it just then, my bad. We have to get that twice in New Zealand is impossible. If we cannot beat odds, says Clint D. True, but the thing is with that, twice in New Zealand, if they don't beat Australia here, becomes the reality of if they want to win the Rugby Championship. So one win here up against Australia, I feel, puts South Africa right back in the ballpark for being able to get at least close in this competition, 1 or 2. In my opinion. But, isn't it crazy how much 1 week can change the outcome and the look of this competition? The fact that last week we saw predictions of, 50 points being put on the board for South Africa, to now we're saying, can they fire back after losing a contest that everyone pretty much put them down on paper? They were signing the check already saying, yep, South Africa have got that one, and they'll move on to New Zealand. But now, they have to dig maybe deeper than they expected to earlier in this competition. But once again, that's when I said about the almost determination and the wanting to prove the naysayers wrong. Tactics, 22 points up. What tactics? Says Clinton D. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I was looking through at a few stats compared to last year's Rugby Championship and this year's. Now, one stat that I want to mention is the offload count. South Africa, throughout the whole of last year's Rugby Championship, made 26 offloads. So they were pretty good with the ball in hand. They didn't feel the need to throw it around. I'm not sure what happened in that first game, but for some reason, South Africa were very keen to keep on throwing that ball around, sometimes at the worst possible times. They had 14 offloads. So already from one contest, South Africa have had almost, or in fact, more than half the amount of offloads that they had last year. Now, was that because of that little bit more of a younger, exciting backline, someone like Amani Libbok and Edwell van der Merwe? But the interesting part of that is the guys who were leading the offloads, in most cases, were the experienced guys. Eben Etzebeth had 3 offloads in that game up against Australia. Peter Steph du Toit, he had 3. So that's 2 of your forwards who are throwing that ball around, trying to play like Arge Snyman in the early stages of a contest rather than late. Grant Williams, he also had 3 offloads. Esterhuizen had 2. So with all of those ones adding up, we've got to remember the end of the game. Tom Wright's last try came from an offload, which didn't quite go into the hands of Andre Esterhuizen. In fact, it was probably closer to a pass, but we saw other times throughout that game where the offloading of South Africa wasn't clinical, which was weird to watch because normally there is such precision in the way that they throw the ball around. But in this case, it just seemed a little bit almost unorthodox or a little bit uncharacteristic of the Springbok side. Got 1K on the Aussies to win. Wish me luck, says Mike in there as well. And also thank you for the 4 more tie. Once again, Hamish says starts raised. You'll notice I changed the tie. I got quite a bit of stick last week saying that it didn't match the shirt, so I decided why not just chuck on the biggest, brightest tie I could find and see how that one went. We have got that South Africans have been pessimistic of how things have changed. Is Jean-Luc du Preez out? Someone said that Jean-Luc du Preez and Quagga Smith are both out. But I'm not too sure whether or not that is the case. They are yet to actually show us what's happening at Cape Town Stadium, but that's going to be coming up in 5 minutes. So then from there, I'll be able to see those late changes and whatnot. Yes, next year will suit South Africa better. Home games this year, New Zealand Glory, says Ben. And we have G'day's kickoff at 5 on your channel, Hamish. So it is 5:10 p.m. for the start of this contest. So we are only sitting around 45 minutes away, which just shows you how quickly this time always flies. We've already been going for 25 minutes. We'll say anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got a big build-up for New Zealand versus Argentina as well. Wet condition suits Andre Pollard to a T, says Mornay Lagrange. I like the pun in there too. Andre Pollard, pressure on him. Marnie Libok, 7 points last week for that man off the tee. James O'Connor, I believe, had 8. Or maybe it was a little bit more than that in terms of points. No, in fact, he did have 8. Harry Wilson actually is the leading Wallabies point scorer at the moment in the comp due to the fact that he did get himself the 2 tries. Can you put the updated lineups? Says Christian. I will in a very short moment. So at the moment, my updated lineup has Apalele Fassi at number 15, but I'm not sure about that Jean-Luc Deprez injury as of yet, just because the coverage hasn't quite started for us here in New Zealand. So once we see that, we will, of course, try and make those adjustments. Quagga is in the starting side now. Andre is now on the bench. Oh, so they've gone with the 5-3 with Andre Esterhuizen. And Quagga Smith starts at number 8. Which does mean that I got even closer to predicting the starting lineup from Rassi, even though I got like probably 5 or 6 wrong along the way. Sorry about Wilson, great game. Yeah, he played phenomenally last week, and the fact that he's out injured, I think is quite a big hit to the Australians. The benefit that they've got, though, is the fact that they have got Rob Valentini back. Oz's performance in rain seemed to be good recently, says Studs Race. Yeah, they had that game up against the British and Irish Lions where they pretty much got rained off because of the lightning, and then they came back out. We have got there, says illness is the reason for the switch, says Tiger XI, and that is a shame for Jean-Luc Deprez because he has had very limited opportunities for the South Africans, and you just wonder whether or not, with him not getting the chance to play here, is he going to be the starting 8 in the rest of the Rugby Championship, or are they going to look at an Evan Ruiz, or maybe they do have Jasper Visser back after his suspension. Losing becomes a habit, so not sure about this one. Best team will win, says Jan there. And also we have got there who of the Boks, one moment. Who of the Boks play and train regularly at altitude, says Anthony. Well, that's the thing. Like, there are a few Lions guys in that side last week, right? But this is a bold statement, and it might get me in trouble. And of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think playing at altitude at this current point in time is as much of an advantage to the South African sides as it used to be. I would say that it's an advantage to the Lions because they play at altitude consistently. But, Loftus, you could say the Bulls as well. But for some reason, altitude is something that some sides outside of South Africa have now almost learnt how to deal with. We look at someone, for example, in Munster, how they went to South Africa and actually did very well at the altitude. Glasgow Warriors in the URC, they were able to go to altitude and perform. Even someone like a Zebre we saw do pretty decently at the altitude as well. And if anything, it puts a little bit more pressure on the home side to be able to show that they have the deeper gas tank, which means that they go out quicker, have a quick start like last week, and then do slow down because they've emptied the tank too early. So it is an intriguing one. I enjoy the aspect of altitude, but at the same time, like I said, I think that sometimes it actually favours the away team because there's no pressure for them going into a game at altitude, whereas for the home side, you're expected to be fitter. You're expected to go out there and play the quicker game. Nice use of flash score, says David. We have been using it for, I think, 3 or so years on the channel. Every once in a while, it doesn't work, so we have to make a little switch and do one manually, but overall does the job. Agree, mate, it's a myth, and Andre will play the rain like a violin, says Jimbo. So tell me, Hamish, if South Africa and Argentina win today's matches, will South Africa be number 1 in the world? I don't believe so. I don't think they can get back to their number 1 spot as of yet. I will quickly get that one up and make sure, because I know that there's little implications that can slightly switch it around. I just typed World Rugby ranking. I put rankings in there twice. One moment, we'll go like this. There we go. But, so, pretty much, if Argentina were to beat New Zealand, we'll go like that. New Zealand would still be number 1 in the world. South Africa, if they win this game, they go back up to number 2. Now, if New Zealand were to lose their game up against Argentina by 16 plus, and South Africa just got themselves the win, South Africa would go back to number one in the world. So the only way for South Africa to get that number one spot back is if New Zealand lose very badly to Argentina. Now, what we saw last week in the first games, it could happen. You just never know. Good news, no rain predicted at the match time, says Gary. So that is fantastic news in that case. Now we have got there, is it the high though? Mate, soccer games in Bolivia, 3,640 metres, which is high, which is South Africa's, what is South Africa's like? I couldn't tell you the exact altitude overall. I just know the ball goes further, which can sometimes be a good thing, but other times can actually hurt these sides as well. We have got there, this is the most anticipated non-All Black game I've ever wanted to watch, says Marcus. And the thing is, it's getting closer and closer. We're less than 40 minutes away from the kickoff. I did feel like this build-up was going to absolutely fly by because of the anticipation of this type of matchup. You know, everyone wants to see whether or not the Boks have 80 minutes in them this weekend and are going to make a statement, or whether or not somehow Australia can do the impossible and win 2 on South African soil and actually put themselves in a pretty decent spot to have a chance of winning the Rugby Championship. Now, at the time when the draw was announced, when people saw that Australia were playing in South Africa, they pretty much said, nah, that's not happening. But it's just weird at the moment. It's so unpredictable that no matter how much you think you've almost got the hang of seeing how these matches are going to go, they just don't do it that way. Johannesburg altitude is 1,750 metres. I just checked. It's 1,753 metres. So it's slim margins in my view, says Katzenel. Well, that's the thing. You're pretty much comparing apples to oranges, you know. You're like saying, oh, it's easier to breathe at sea level than it is at Mount Everest. And it's like, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? But rugby's also very different to football. You don't see men making 20 tackles by actually physically pulling a man to the ground in a game of football. And there's no denying that they cover a huge amount of meterage and they need to be extremely fit. But once again, apples and oranges. You're not taking that much head contact. At least you shouldn't be in a game of football unless you're headering the ball everywhere. Love the tie, Amish, says Glenn. Do appreciate that a lot. We have got the SOC. I won't play in New Zealand. It doesn't look likely at the moment, which will be a bit of a hit, definitely with the amount of number 8 injuries that we have seen for this box side. We have got the hello, how's it? Welcome in, Carlin. Hope you're doing very well. Hope you're excited for this matchup. Of course, just around the corner from starting up. The anticipation is building. The pressure is on for these two sides. But one thing is going to be for sure, it should be an outstanding 80 minutes of rugby. And Cape Town, how long to kick off? Only about 35 minutes away. We are getting closer to the start of this match. Hi, Hamish says Wild Lobster, welcome in. And also we have got there also Yo from Ryan. Welcome in, Ryan. If you are doing well, mate. But looking at the upcoming international calendar as well, we haven't actually brushed upon it yet. The Pacific Nations Cup starting up just recently. We did cover the game between Tonga and Samoa. The underdog Tonga getting themselves the victory there, so they will now play Fiji in the next round of the Pacific Nations Cup. The Canadians getting the win over the USA. So 2 games next weekend we will be covering on the channel. There is the break week for the Rugby Championship while sides get acquainted with where they're supposed to be. Australia, they are going to be on home soil up against Argentina. South Africa, they will finish this game up against Australia, probably have 1 or 2 days, maybe a little bit more, and then they will head over to New Zealand and get prepared for that Eden Park Test match. It is that one right there. Everyone is waiting for it as one of the most anticipated games, if not the most anticipated game of the year. And it is going to be a very exciting contest. Then from there, more Pacific Nations Cup, but all coming up in the near future for these two sides. These are also the later games of the Rugby Championship for the South Africans. They have got Argentina in 43 days, then 50 days until the end of the Rugby Championship, ladies and gentlemen. 7 weeks' time, we will know who is lifting that trophy. It seems like it's flying by too quick. It's almost Christmas. We're in the 8th month of the year. I remember when we were doing the Six Nations. That felt like 2 months ago, but that was about 6. And now November internationals just around the corner as well. South Africa, they will be playing Japan. That is another game that isn't on this one, but France is another opposition. Italy, Ireland, that game will be must-see. And then Wales as the end of the calendar. So far for South Africa, they have won every game apart from one, that game last week up against the Wallabies, but Rassie has made it very clear he wants every single match that they can get as a victory. So we'll have to wait and see if this one is another for the Australians. They have got their Bledisloe Cup taking place once again in only 7 weeks' time, that last contest between the two sides. Also, their 2 games up against Argentina, earlier times than we are used to seeing for Australian kickoffs. Normally it's a 9:35. In this case, it is the earlier contest before the All Blacks versus South Africa, and then they have got a busy kind of schedule for November. They've got Japan, England, Italy, Ireland. That was a great game last year when those two sides played off, and then France versus Australia to end their November internationals. We have got there as well Springboks 32 to Australia 7 as Mohideen's prediction. I'll stick with my 34-17 to the box. We need to save Sia for the next World Cup, says RJJ, I should say. I almost got too much of the tongue roll going there. And we have got there, did anyone make mince curry vitkokis? I'm hungry, says Carlin. I probably mispronounced that very badly, I will say. You look like you work with Ben from accounts. Says, so I am kind of dressed for the office. I also say I'm normally dressed for the courtroom too, but yeah, it's the suit and tie type of weather at the moment. Not really, it's 1 degree Celsius. Here in New Zealand, it's actually quite cold. Hamish 4 PM 2026 lucks it out. I would be a terrible Prime Minister or politician in general because I'm far too indecisive. You guys have heard it time and time again. My predictions are terrible, and also I can't decide who I think will win. Ahoy H says 1 Pierre Bosch, welcome in. Arabia is based on history. Wallabies to create history tonight, says Michael. And also we have got there as well, are you doing Japan game against the Springboks? We certainly will be. And even tough, I'm a Kiwi. I want the Aussies to F up Australia. F up South Africa, says Glenn. Well, it does make it more intriguing for the Bledisloe Cup side of things, which I assume is where you're kind of looking at it there. But if South Africa get themselves this win, there's no denying that they will come to play in New Zealand for those 2 matches in 2 weeks' time. We have got there pouring in the Cape, says Roger. See, someone said it was going to be slightly nicer weather, but it might not quite be the case, unfortunately. We have got there, hi Hamish, thank you again for your great commentary. No worries at all, Heather. It is great to see you once again. And would it be irony if Australia win by a drop goal, 27 points to 25? Says funny, fun time. Well, the thing is, right, I think that it could be quite close here. And I also think that we're going to see a little bit more of a methodical pace from the South Africans. Like I said, it seemed like they were rushing at times throughout that first match, which is something we are not used to seeing from the South Africans. Like 14 offloads was crazy in terms of how often they were trying to move that ball around. But a few of the other stats that I do want to talk about from week number 1, we did see 100% scrum accuracy for Australia and South Africa. So they both had the highest of the competition. Lineouts, though, both were the lowest. 77.8 for the Australians, 68.8% here for the South Africans. That is one of the lowest statistics in terms of line-out accuracy that we have seen from South Africa in quite some time. Now, I do think that's why Rassie has decided to bring so many extra locks into this lineup. We see Arge Snyman as well as Ruan Nokia. They both have brilliant ability when it comes to a line-out steal. And then to have Etzebeth and Diacha making their way off the bench. You know, like that could be some pretty impactful players across the board. There we have got there, everybody has it wrong. Hamish looks like a used car salesman. Why not just a car salesman? Why do they have to be used? I guess most cars are used when you think about it, at least to get them to where they need to be to sell them. We have got there, would the ABs be happy? They were ranked number 1 at the end of this year, but lost twice to South Africa? Probably not. And if they lost twice to South Africa, they probably wouldn't be number 1 ranked. Unless, of course, South Africa lost 1 or 2 games in the north. And if that did happen, I think that one of those two sides would be a lot happier, and it wouldn't be South Africa because, you know, heading north, they want to make it 5 from 5. And they have all the ability to be able to do so. They are just talking about the 30 minutes or so remaining until the start of this match. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The anticipation is building. The sun is out at Cape Town Stadium, so we might be in for a dry game here, at least for the start anyway. And Xander said, hi, welcome in, Xander. Hope you're doing well. We have the, as well, enjoy your build-up, my bruh. Says Anthony, and how's it, Hamish? Says Sakili, welcome in. And pronounced Fit Cook. I think with the Kiwi accent, it gets a little bit close to something else, but hopefully that wasn't a mile off in terms of the pronunciation. We have got there, Hamish looks the New Zealand version of Stifler from American Pie. And as at the rugby of today, says Xander, the rugby will be started in 30 minutes. Then after that, we have also got the game taking place between Argentina and New Zealand. So be sure to stick around for that one as well. But we were just brushing upon the statistics from round number 1. Australia scored the most tries, tied with New Zealand with 6 apiece. Australia, and of course, they did do quite well in that second half. I do want to mention they had 5 tries throughout the last 40 minutes. South Africa, they scored 3 in total. They were all in the first 20 minutes of the game. South Africa had the most clean breaks out of any side with 14, but it was just that last pass, the clinicalness of the South African team that did let them slightly down. 10 clean breaks for Australia, so 24 in total for that game. At times the defence was missing. We did see 139 carries from the South Africans. Australia had the least carries out of any side in round number 1, but they managed to get themselves, like I said, those 6 tries, both having more than 500 running metres throughout that first match. 579 for South Africa, 532 for the Australians. Defenders beating Australia top of the bunch with 26. At 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is fine weather according to the one forecast. Well, that is absolutely perfect then. As long as the rain does stay away for this game, I wonder whether or not that means that there will be slightly tricky, or a couple changes. Okay, I'm just listening to Rassi Erasmus here. He is saying about that change of Jean-Luc Dupré. He is out of the side. Quagga Smith moves in as the starting 8. And alongside that, we do see Andre Esterhuizen to make his way off the bench. He had some pretty decent stats last week. Just looking through Esterhuizen individually, he had 2 clean breaks in the matchup. He also managed to get himself 71 metres gained. He had 2 offloads. So a physical man in that number 12 jersey. Is he going to play as a 12 though in this game, or will we perhaps see the chance that Andre Esterhuizen finds himself slotting in as the potential blindside flanker? What is your prediction? I went 32-22. I feel like that score last week that I predicted will happen at some point. I just don't know if it's this game. This level of stubble was perfect, says RJJ. Yeah, see, that's from when I did shave. I think it was it last week? I know that I had to go to the mustache at one point due to South Africa not getting as many points as we wanted them to up against the Italians. We have got the high Hamish. What's the tie story? You must apply. Then I can impel you as a candidate attorney. Says Estelle. So pretty much the tie story is about 3 or 4 years ago on the channel, we decided that since it was going to be a big match of international rugby, I would wear a suit and tie. And ever since there, it's kind of become a bit of a tradition. So we did it quite a few times throughout the Rugby World Cup. I don't think we did it for every game, but definitely the playoff matches, we always had the suit and tie on in that regard. And yeah, it just seems to come out every once in a while. My messages get missed, says Pads Ablaze. Possibly. Some of them are going very, very quickly, but I did mention I'll be reading it afterwards as well. We have got I have Aussies by 3, says Paddy there. And also box 31 points to 26, says Studs Race. And also the only thing I got right last week was kickoff time, says Studs Race, but they are just showing that change. Quagga Smith, the 54 cap Springbok, in that number 8 jersey now due to the late change, not having Jean-Luc Dupré. We have got the chat wasn't loading, says Pads Blaze. And also 31 points to 18 for the box. And referee is James Dolman, so he will speed the game up. I will play into the Wallabies' hands, says Breeze. And also the fact that there's no rain, that will also speed the game up. I think if it was raining, we were going to see that methodical build from Andre Pollard, the way that he's just able to control a game and the temperament of it. But in this case, I think that if it's dry, Australia will try and play fast-paced running rugby. And the box, that's where they have to do what Australia did to them last week and counter-attack. Find those gaps and those little passes that can make the difference. But Esterhuizen listed as the 21 in this case, so could be considered as a forward replacement here. But is that risky in this case? And yeah, if it's raining, then definitely would be better for the box. Says Sprees there, and also we have their box by 10, says Stephen, for his prediction. After the crazy underdog results in the Pacific Nations Cup, let's go Aussie land, says Bastian. And also I've been taking this out of my South African mate last week. Absolutely love it. Come on the Aussies, says Glenn. So you do know if you end up dishing it out this week, then if they end up winning this week or this weekend, hey, it's Klakane. What's he doing with the trophy there? I think that is the under-20s trophy, adding a little bit of extra motivation. The Rugby World Cup is also on the sideline in the hands of Stephen Kitsoff. We see there, is that looks like Everson actually. What are they doing with the World Cup? Out of curiosity, is it just a little bit of a flaunt in front of the home crowd, I guess? 3 world champions, they are just showing there. Stephen Kitsoff going around. Some of the under-20 guys like Kakane, Riley Norton was there as well. And we have their box by 15, says Monique. And the box is always tactical, says Jeff J. And there as well. And yeah, Rassi will have a plan heading into this game, because the last thing that the Springboks will want to happen was what happened last week. Get off to a flying start and then slowly Australia keep on building themselves back into the contest. But looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen, for the South Africans, they have got the late change. No Jean-Luc Dupré in that number 8 jersey. Instead, it will be Kwaka Smith rather than making his way off of the bench. Oxen Shea, Malcolm Marks, and Thomas Tatoy as the front row. So we do see Tatoy come in rather than Wilco Lowe, who will make his way off the bench. Instead, Arges Snyman there as the number 4 in this contest, and Ruan Nokia slots in at 5. My big question is to do with that bench. They've got Eben Etzebeth. They've got Ludiacha. Are we going to see both men brought on for the 2 locks at some point throughout this contest? Or maybe do they look at that reshuffle? Nokia could go to 7. Etzebeth probably into the 4. Snyman could go 5. They've got many choices that they can make for this contest. Mako Van Staden, he will be starting as the number 6. Franco Mostur at 7. And like I mentioned, no Jean-Luc Dupré. Instead, Kwaka Smith slots in as the number 8. Grant Williams and Honore Pollard will be the 19 combination. Last week, Marnie Libok did have that 10 responsibility. He did go all right throughout that first half, but just like a lot of the players in that game, it just seemed to drop off in the second. I see there the Super Sport table that they had. The bottom of it was covered in water. I wonder whether or not was there a little shower of rain at some point earlier on. It might make it a little bit greasy underfoot. I also see Aiden Ross warming up in the background for the Australians. I don't believe he's in the side. Off the bench, they have got Angus Bell there, but a man who did go from the Chiefs to the Reds and now straight into the Wallabies could get his opportunities. And then our future Damien de Allende, he is straight back into the starting lineup now that he is match fit after his injury. He is a dangerous ball runner. He partners perfectly with Jesse Krill in that midfield combination, and that will be something that, of course, the Springboks try to use, not just in terms of the attack, but also on defence. Last week, a few too many missed tackles coming from the South Africans, but Krill, he was solid enough at 13. De Allende, he is a formidable option in defence. Cheslin Colby out on the left wing. It is great to see him back. Kanan Moody out on the right. So no Kutli Arendse, no Edward van der Merwe. That was due to the 2 injuries that they did suffer last week. And then Apelele Fasi, he's actually, ironically, the late injury change for Willie LaRue. So sadly, we have had a huge amount of those injuries in recent times. They are just having a chat to Riley Norton. I believe he actually ended up playing yesterday for the Bulls, didn't he? I think he was in their side. But looking through at the Australian starting lineup, it will be Tom Robertson, Billy Pollard, and Taniela Tupou. A lot of physicality up front. Pollard making 13 tackles last week from that number 2 jersey, but no James Slipper for that experienced head. And the front row, Nick Frost and Will Skelton will remain as the locking duo, so no changes in that department. Tom Hooper, Fraser McWright, he was an absolute tackling machine last week. He managed to make, I believe, it was 21 tackles in that contest. The man who sat at number 2 was Eben Etzebeth. He'll be making his way off the bench for the South Africans, also getting 3 crucial turnovers, which was more, or in fact the same amount as the whole of the South African side. Rob Bellatini, he comes in at the number 8. That is due to the injury of Harry Wilson, who did score 2 tries last week for the Australians. Nick White and James O'Connell will remain as that 19 combination. Len Ikatel and Joseph Suali'i managed to get himself his first try in a Wallabies kit for the game last week. Corey Toole comes into the starting lineup. That is rather than Dylan Peach, who has his jaw that was completely shattered. Max Jorgensen out on the right. He had a very solid game. He managed to make 98 metres for that last contest, perhaps trying to bring up the 100 today. And Tom Wright, a man who did bring up the 100 last week, 106, managed to also get himself the try. He grew into the game as it progressed. He had 5 defenders beaten. He had 2 clean breaks. And he could be a massive key for this Wallabies side. But now I will try my best to read all of the chat that we missed. And that is a huge amount of messages, that is for sure. We have got there... missed what happened to Jean-Luc. It sounds like illness is what took him out. So that brings Kwaka Smith into the starting lineup. And then off the bench, they have got Andre Esterhuizen in there too. We have got there the box real test as the All Blacks. Eden Park ain't a kindergarten park. It's a house of pain, says Jeff J. And Krill is captain. I think he certainly is, yes, with the injury of Sia Khaleesi, with the fact that Eben Etzebeth also isn't starting. And there's no Salman Moura in this Rugby Championship squad for now. It does mean that the captaincy goes the way of Jesse Creel. Now, I'm not too sure what Creel's captaincy win percentage is, but it would have to be up there, wouldn't it? I want to say it's 100%, but I could be a little bit wrong in that regard. Why the change due to the late illness of Jean-Luc Dupré, that is why he has been taken out, and who will cover Quagga if need be. I assume Andre Esterhuizen. They've decided to use him as a bit of that hybrid player like we saw earlier on in the year. Good afternoon from Cape Town, says Jeremy. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. We have got there as well, Hamish. Hope the Wallabies don't win, says Albert. And hello all. Hope we play a better game, says Greta there. This game will be very close. I hope it is one that goes right down to the wire. Both of these sides are very entertaining to watch. And I know that, South Africa will be stinging from what happened last week. There's no denying that. But it's what they do this week that can make the big difference. If they dig deep, if they get their tactics right, they can win this game by a large margin. But at the same time, Australia, if they can get their defence right, stop those early tries of South Africa and take this game deep, perhaps that is their best way to victory in this match. Plus with the Rugby Championship, the way that it sits at the moment, this is a must-win game for the South Africans. This is the current table. As you can see, New Zealand at the top of the bunch, sitting there with the plus 17 as their points differential, just marginally sneaking ahead of the Australians, who do have the plus 16. South Africa playing a little bit of catch-up here, but there's no denying they can make a difference if they do fire quickly and efficiently. Last year in the Rugby Championship, just as an example, their 2 games up against the Australians, they won one of them by 18 and they won one of them by 26 points. So, question is, will that be a similar result to what we see today, or will it be the Australians who can once again keep it close and take it down to the wire, which is what they did throughout their British and Irish Lions tour matches? There weren't too many runaway games. As you can see there, Australia winning that last game by 10 points, beating the British and Irish Lions in the third test. Then in the other 2, lost by 8, lost by 3, and a narrow victory over the Fijians, winning it by the 3 points. So this margin up against South Africa in the first match was actually the largest score margin that they have had for 2025. And now, if they're not careful, if they don't shut down this Box team, it could go the other way, and this could be their largest losing margin of 2025 as well. Watching the Women's Rugby World Cup, Scotland's number 11 runs like Izzy Dag, just got a great try, says Studs Rays there. And yeah, I've seen a couple one-sided affairs so far in the Women's World Cup, but hopefully there are a few close games just around the corner. Hi, Amish and everyone, says Lilia B. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. I hope you are very excited for this matchup. Grant, that score ain't going to fit the box, says Jeff J. For the 40 points to 6 in favour of the South Africans. We have got their Box playing a hungry ABs with Artie's 100th test at Eden Park. Will be a big ask, says Breeze. It certainly will be, but like I mentioned earlier on, this Box side loves that that extra bit of motivation. And, this is a determined side. They want to go out there and show what they should have done last week, because they had that game in the bag, 22-0. Not many sides do go on to lose from that margin, and definitely not to lose by 16. So Rassi, he took it on the chin. He said, yep, we weren't good enough. We're going to be better this week. They had handling error after handling error last contest. 10 penalties against them compared to the 4 of the Australians, so that also didn't help. And Rassi was humbled, or has humbled them. They are ready to win smart, says Reino. And we have there, what's up with putting the Webb Ellis trophy on display? I'm not actually too sure. They also had the Under-20 World Championship one there too. And I feel like if Drakis has won his fight, they probably would have had him at the ground as well. He is a big fan of the Springboks. We have got there, I was hoping Samoa Australia was closer than it was. Says a big rig. And also we have got there was a lot of ticket price scalping going on at the gate apparently. And hi Jimbo, says Lily. And also who's in the bench? For Dupré, they have got Andre Esterhuizen making his way off the bench instead. So a little bit of an interesting hybrid player role that we could see here, perhaps as a loose forward or perhaps as a centre. And also we have got there Quagga Smith starting. He certainly is in that number 8 jersey rather than Jean-Luc Dupré, who did have to pull out late due to illness. And will the game be shown here, or is he just going to talk all the way through? I am sadly just going to be talking all the way through due to YouTube's guidelines. Any match footage or audio gets you taken straight off YouTube, but we are going to be doing the play-by-play all throughout the contest, letting you know exactly who's scoring tries and what's happening throughout the contest. We see there Australia still warming up. The sun is still out in the background. This could be a drier game than first anticipated. And we have their hi mate, says Regime. Welcome in. Springboks need to win by 100 points for me to feel better about last weekend, says JP. that might be quite tough to do. Don't get me wrong. 10 points would be a pretty good margin as well. But, 100 might be a bit much in that regard. If it was a cricket match, we have seen South Africa get themselves a few centuries up against the Aussies not too long ago. And there were still tickets available this morning. I checked, 171 to be precise. Says I Lollipop. And also welcome back. If South Africa don't win, or if South Africa don't win big today, we can kiss everything goodbye, says Jan. I don't think it's quite that serious though. Yes, South Africa did lose last week, and if they were to lose here, don't get me wrong, it would be a massive upset. But this South African side still has more than enough capabilities to come to New Zealand and give New Zealand a really tough run for their money. Hope DDP is all right. His coaching team let him down, says Justin there. Yeah, unfortunately, he just got beaten by a better fighter on the day. He has had some really impressive performances, beaten some great great fighters in that middleweight division. And he'll be back. I just don't know who he's going to be fighting next is the big thing. What time is kickoff? It is less than 15 minutes away from starting up. Already we have been going for 55 minutes and it has felt like 10. People aren't giving the Aussies the respect they deserve. We need to prove themselves, or we need to prove ourselves against them, says Rudy. Yeah, Australia, they scored 6 tries. They scored 5 in the second half. And that was in a game that altitude was supposed to stop them from being able to do so. But they didn't really slow down. In fact, they got quicker as the game progressed. No biltong at the shop. Had to get teriyaki jerky, which is awesome. Says Studs raised there, and South Africa will do it today, says Patrick. And also, look, the dream is over. South Africa aren't getting out of the pool in 2027. They are, though, aren't they? Let's be honest, with an extended Rugby World Cup, you're going to have more sides, so there's going to be less competition in the pool stages. So any side that are within the top 6, unless something really drastic happens, they're probably going to go through. South Africa could find themselves in a pool with someone like a Hong Kong or who else has qualified recently? A Zimbabwe, although I don't think that will quite work out because they might come under the same region. But their World Cup draw is going to be coming up later on in this year. We are going to be covering it on the channel, of course, as well. We have got their come on the box. Back to what you do best, says Jimbo. Australia captain said it's an easy win for them today. Says Mohadini probably didn't know, did he? I feel like Fraser McWright would have said that they have to be very cautious heading into this game because South Africa are a very tough side. But, no captain before a game is going to say it's an easy win. No matter who you're playing. You can look at South Africa playing up against the Italians or Georgia. Sia Khaleesi isn't going to go, yep, we're going to beat them easy peasy. This is going to be a walk in the park, because all you're leaving yourself to there is the criticism afterwards if you get it wrong. And go the box goes, says Catherine. Imagine Zimbabwe versus the Box or Zimbabwe versus the All Blacks in the World Cup final, says Big Rig. I just like to imagine it as a group stage fixture. I'm not sure about the final. That would be quite the season from the Zimbabweans. We're going to either way. May the best team win. We want a strong Australia, says Stephen. And we have got there, just got home from my 30th high school reunion in Cape Town. And Wimberg boys, high beat Rodenbosch 43-0. Too many Springboks play on the coast. Plus Europe, they suffer to play in Ellis Park. And best of the world must step up to the All Blacks. All Blacks is growing and getting better and better, says Jeff. Although they still have their fair share of little things, I believe, that need to be fixed. Nick White said he'll fold Artigas Neyman in half. Well, that's very brave, isn't it? Because I feel like Artigas Neyman is definitely going to target that halfback and as well as first receiver. I feel like that's what Snyman does best when he's in the action, when he's right up front trying to cause a little bit of disruption. And that's something that we didn't see enough of from the Springboks last week. I was looking through a few of the statistics to do with the breakdowns. And 0 to 3 seconds, South Africa were actually able to get the ball out 20% more than the Australians were. But then it was kind of what was coming from that seemed to be a little bit of the problem. We have got there Zimbabwe could pull in All-Stars, bring back Pocock and beat Shavanga. They could go fast. CF in this game will show exactly what South Africa's level actually is. Can't say for certain from last weekend, says JP. Exactly right. Last weekend happened. It's one that, it did hurt for the South Africans, but I feel like, couple little mistakes fixed here. Penalty count for one, handling errors the second. They fixed that, whole different side. And literally almost a whole different side with the amount of changes that have been made. 1 minute to go, says Rihanna. 10 minutes to go. Unfortunately, it is kicking off at 3:10, but the two sides just about to make their way out onto the field in the very near future. This box could cause an upset today, says Crimson. And Springboks still come in as favourites heading into this matchup. Australia are still considered quite the underdog heading into the second test match, and that is because everyone is expecting that big performance coming back from the Springboks. We have got their, how's it from GQ? Says Sean, doing very well. And also, imagine if Zimbabwe won the World Cup, maybe one day they could. We've got to remember, some of these kind of smaller rugby nations have actually been growing very nicely. The Sevens is the absolute perfect example of that. You know, we saw Spain, for instance. They were a side that were on the verge of relegation. Then they came back and finished, I think it was second or third in the overall standings for the Spanish Sevens, above some very good sides. And South Africa will bully Australia into submission too big. Says John there, no pressure box, the entire rugby world is just judging you right now, that's all, and Box are sandbagging, says Sunil. And also we have the Hamish Springbok fan here, scared of this one today, says Kip. I know that there's been a lot of nervousness around this week in terms of what to expect from this type of game, but I will say South Africa, if they stick to their game plan, that's a little bit of dark cloud in the background. Hopefully it does stay sunny though at Cape Town Stadium. It was anticipated for rain. In fact, that looks really ugly as the rain maybe just starts rolling over the hills, getting towards the ground. But this is the lineup that South Africa have gone with. They went with the change at number 15 due to the Willie Leroux injury. So that brought in Apalele Fasi. But John Lutaprea also ruled out late, and that brings Whaka Smith into the starting side. But Alston Share alongside Malcolm Mark and Thomas DeToy as the number 3. That is rather than Wilco Lowe, who makes his way to the bench. Arge Snyman and Ruan Nokia is sitting there as the locking duo. Haven't begun the Rugby Championship with back-to-back losses since 2015. I think they just said on the screen there. But 2 changes, Eben Etzebeth and Ludiacha. They will both be making their way off the bench rather than starting for this game. Van Staden, Moster and Whaka Smith do make up the loose 4 trio. I thought that drink would be a lot quicker, to be honest. I don't know what I was thinking. Grant Williams and Andre Pollard as that 19 combination. We do see Nomani Libok for this game, and says Sasha Feinberg and Ngume Zulu will be the fly half replacement, making his way off the bench. Damien Dialendi back in that number 12 jersey. I know that is a welcome change, although Andre Esterhuizen having a pretty solid game last week, making some good decisions, making some good meters too, almost 70 for that man. See there, Lukan Salakai Lotto, as well as that looked like Hamish Stewart. A few of the Aussie players who aren't going to be taking part in this contest, just having their last warm-ups beforehand, having the cool down. Just showing there that change for Corey Toole, a debut here in this contest. I believe he's the only debutant across this whole lineup for either side that will be making his debut for this match. It is Jesse Creel as the number 13. He will also be captain for the Springbok side. Cheslin Colby comes back in as the left winger. Massive change and a great welcome for Cheslin Colby here. Kanan Moody as the number 14, and Apalele Fasi, like I mentioned, he will slot in as the 15 due to that late change of Willie Leroux. For the Australians, it is going to be Tom Robertson, Billy Pollard and Taniela Tupou as the front row. 100% scrum accuracy for both of these sides in last week's contest. Nick Frost and Will Skelton in the locking duo. So no changes there for the Aussies compared to the 2 changes for the Springboks. Tom Hooper at number 6. Fraser McWright making 21 tackles last week and 3 turnovers. One was certainly doing everything right for the Aussies and will want to do the same now, leading from the front as skipper due to the change at number 8. Rob Valentini comes in for the injured Harry Wilson. Valentini having that game up against the Lions, doing not too badly whatsoever. In the back line, it will be Nick White and James O'Connor, that experienced 19 combination in that field. Lena Cattell alongside Joseph Suali'i as the 12 and 13. Corey Toole, Max Jorgensen and Tom Wright at number 15. Jorgensen and Tom Wright almost having 200 metres between them in the last contest, and both leading the charge for metres gained in this competition. But Corey Toole, some of you may know him from the 7 circuit, some of you will know him from the Brumbies, but he's got pace and he's going head-to-head with Kanan Moody, who's got quite this try-scoring record for him as well. And great pre-match image, says Tony. It is greatly appreciated. It absolutely flew by. We're only 5 minutes away from the kickoff. Once again, these 1 hour and 10 minute periods feel like about maybe 30. If we're lucky, could Damien Dialende finish up playing for Spain? It's a good question. I mean, he'd have to have 3 years off, though, from the Springboks. In fact, it's going to become, I believe, 5 years. So I just don't think it'd end up going down that road. We have got the South Africans are threatening to beat the ABs at Eden Park. And, you know, those threats are being heard. don't get me wrong, Eden Park, yes, New Zealand have it as a fortress, but South Africa are at the end of the day world champions, and we can't base the whole of South Africa off one performance we saw last week. Before then, they were able to get themselves their 4 wins throughout the July internationals and just prior. Yes, they were up against different levels of opposition, but still, you're in that scenario where underestimating the Springboks is one of the biggest risks you can make in rugby. And, they will be back. They will be strong. They'll be fired up for this game, and they are only 5 minutes away from making their way on, having the national anthems, and then getting underway for this matchup. Let's go the Box all the way from South Dakota in the USA. And also we have got the probably get in Spain team after retiring, says Patrick. And also we have got the show us the pants. I have got the same pants as earlier on. So I haven't gone to switching in that regard. How's it, Hamish? What is your prediction? My prediction was 32-22 in favour of South Africa. Sticking with the same scoreline that I did decide to go with. I need a cold Steiny after that Bok rundown, mate, says Richie T. And Aussies by 5, says Jeff there. And also no sleeping now for the Bok. And more than 1,200 have voted in the poll so far. About 80% favour the Boks. And I will mention last year, we did see actually last week, we saw Australia with about 7% on the poll manage to get themselves the win in that contest. So, of course, in terms of the odds, it does look like Australia are quite heavy underdogs heading into this game. But they've tasted victory now on South African soil. There's a new look in South African team. Will there be an adjustment period with the amount of changes that have been made? Or is this the side, roughly, that Rassie's been trying to build towards over the July internationals? It's going to be playing for the Nelson Mandela Challenge Cup, or Challenge Plate, I should say. Going to be a kicker, says Shane. And also we've got their greetings from Abu Dhabi. Says Sammy there. It is greatly appreciated you being here. So you're not wearing Fuff Speedo? I am not, no. That is missing from the attire today. We have got the South Africa 37 to the Australia's 23. I think South Africa are hungry for revenge, says Big Rig Joe. And also we have got their sticking to 31-26 for the score prediction in favour of the Box, says Studs Rays. But we will show the Rugby Championship table just as the two sides are making their way out of the tunnel. We are getting close to the start of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we are here for this game, as well as the rest of the Rugby Championship. New Zealand sit at the top of the bunch with the points differential of plus 17 after their victory over the Argentines. Oh, it's looking a lot darker now at the ground than it did about maybe 20 minutes ago. Now, the rain was supposed to avoid the stadium, but now it's looking a little bit more likely we could see a downpour at some point throughout this contest. South Africa, they find themselves currently in third, behind the Australians, who did get themselves that bonus point win. So from this contest, if South Africa can turn it into a 5-point victory, in terms of 5 points on the standings, depending on what the differential is, they could find themselves sitting second, if not first, at the end of this round. But then for Australia, they also have that same chance. If they get a good win here, they can move up that little bit more. Rain scripted, says Xavier, and I love making you blush, says Carlin. And then the Borat Speedo, says KV. And also, I think whatever rugby gods are watching over South Africa, that Marnie Libbok is nowhere near the starting lineup. To be fair, Marnie Libbok in the first 20 minutes of that last game was getting a majority of his kicks over and actually set up a couple tries. But we're going to have to see what Pollard can do. And the thing is, every time someone badmouths Libbok, that puts extra pressure on Handré Pollard to perform. Because if Pollard can't do it, then all of a sudden, where do you go? Like, it's probably still Pollard, to be fair. I think they'll kick him, or not kick him. I don't think Rassie would. But I think they'll leave him in there for the AB's test. But it's more so, will he be in the starting lineup or will he be off the bench for those type of games? South Africans look angry, not a single smile as they came out of the tunnel. They'll be well and truly having their game face on. They would have been told beforehand, look, boys, last week was bad. Go out there, probably a slightly bigger word than bad, but go out there and show us what you should have done. It's just so damn beautiful, says Tanatu. And also we have got their Marnie must retirement. I think Marnie would get big money overseas if he wanted to go to either France or Japan. So, if South Africa don't want him, I'm sure someone will. And they will happily accept a Marnie Libbok in their side. We have got their thanks, Hamish, for your commentary again, says Leon. No worries at all. Oz Anthem lip syncing, says Thuds Rays. Isn't the guy singing it or the Australian team? But the Australian national anthem, it has been sung, which now means the South African national anthem is just about to take place. And then we will be underway for the second round of the Rugby Championship. If you haven't already, let me know your score predictions in the comments and who you think the player is that will score the first try. How's it, bro, Hamish? Says Andrew, welcome and hope you're doing extremely well. And a loud crowd at Cape Town. They will be even louder if South Africa get off to a great start and get themselves the victory here. But Ludiaga, Eben Etzebeth, 2 men to have off the bench. That could make a real impact. Alongside that, we do see Andre Estes, and he is brought in due to the injury of Jean-Luc Dupré. Great crowd, says Jimbo. It's so important to make first-time tackles for Rassie Erasmus here. Currently, South African sitting with the lowest tackle completion in the whole competition, sitting currently with only 80.7 compared to the Australians who do have 87.7. So an extra 7% of the time, the Aussies were able to make their shots. Line out lowest in the competition for the South African scrums, though, and for both of these sides, they are sitting at 100%. And Box to dominate scoreboard from the off. Box by 15 plus, says Jimbo. And it would be great to see a Wallabies win, but realistically, this is going to be a Box win, says Gloob there. First try from Suali'i. Hamish scored a try in our hearts, says Cool Story. And also Box by 15, Malcolm Marks to score first. Oh, now I always like to ask this question when it comes to the hookers. Is that a rolling maul try, or is that just an in general play try scored by Malcolm Marks? Nice to see the spicy plum as a flag bearer, and he did get to do a couple laps of the ground earlier on with the Rugby World Cup in hand. Same with the under-20 guys, maybe adding that little bit of extra motivation, but in a way, a little bit of extra pressure too. We have South Africa winning the World Cup by 1 point in the quarter, semi, and finals. And not as good as everyone thinks, says Glenn Sowell, but a lot of sides would have lost one of those games, Glenn. Yes, they had close fixtures, but to be able to pull off a victory so many times over and over by the same margin, that does take a lot of skill. You know, you look at the Ramfurly Shield, for instance. Taranaki thought they had it under control. Then you see the experienced head of Lema Sopoaga come on, kick the last-minute goal. But there was no time that happened in the games for South Africa in that World Cup. They held on, they dug deep, and they got the job done. I've got there, watch the live game. Says Juliet there, and it's time 5 rounds. Says Studstrays there. Introducing it like it's an MMA scrap, but James Dolman, he will be the referee in charge of this contest. Andre Pollard has ball in hand. He will be kicking this one off as we are ready to go for round number 2. Is it going to be Springbok redemption, or is it going to be Aussie elation with a second win on South African soil? Man is handsy, says Big Rig. I'm saying Arendse scores first again. Arendse is not playing due to injury, but on his wing is Cheslin Colby, so I would stick with him as well, to be fair. And Wright's going to score a hat-trick, says Roof, but it's kicked off now. We are underway. James Dolman says we are ready to go, and Andre Pollard for his first touch of the Rugby Championship, claimed by Nick Frost inside of the 22 for the Wallabies, as Nick White will roll it back. Get ready for the box kick. Arges Neyman right in his face early on. We will see that multiple times throughout this matchup. Running onto it and beautifully taken under the high ball is Apalele Fasi. Now Williams goes across to Ruan Nokia, who looks more and more like Ludiaga each and every day. Picked up by Oxenshire. Gets it to Malcolm Marks as that ball did come free at the back of the breakdown. Williams looking off to the left-hand side, and straight away this looks like a pocket for Pollard. Up it goes. A high ball at Cape Town Stadium. Cheslin Colby tries to run onto it, but a little bit too deep on the kick. Nicely taken by Tom Wright. A missed tackle from Colby. And a penalty, though, to South Africa in the breakdown. Damien Dialendi making the difference there and sealing off the penalty against the Australians. Come on the box, says Patrick Wright. This is an early 3 points if Andre Pollard wants it. But do they? Or do they go aggressive from the get-go again? Look towards that corner and see just what will happen if they take the risk. The answer is it's looking like a kick in T for Andre. Up the Wallabies, says Chef there, and Tom Wright mistake again, says Anoy there. I think we're seeing a replay of some breakdown or some tackle earlier on to the corner for Marks to score, says Leon there. And also we have got there, can they get rid of this one-trick pony? DJ, says V there. Now, Andre Pollard getting ready to line this one up. And does get it over. Lead here for South Africa early. 3 points to nil in this contest. Now we have there looking like a classic Bok pressure. And also, come on, Pollard, says Stephanie, and South Africa, says Anton. Take the 3, says Bruce, and that is exactly what they have done. They have caused the early penalty from Australia to turn into points, ticking over that scoreboard. And now going to be kicked off by Nick White. They just show Kwaka Smithy is starting in this game rather than Jean-Luc Dupré-Aguada. Take that as under the high ball from Australia, who managed to get that ball on their side. Oh, unplayable, so they're going to call it as South Africa's scrum. 2 guys going for the ball. I think Corey Toole and Kwaka Smith both hanging on to that one and no one rolling away when they hit the ground. Going to see the replay there. Who has it more? I think it's a bit 50-50, but both men not wanting to let that one go. Normally once it hits the ground, you are supposed to let it go, both of them really, but both just hanging on, so it will now be the scrum for the Boks. However, a big mad right now. Australia have to weather the storm. Says Big Rig, and there are certainly going to be plenty coming at them in terms of firepower, locking duo, a little bit of a weight advantage for the Australians. In fact, it was talked about the size of the Springbok pack, but they are smaller in total numbers than the Australians. Will Skelton, of course, often boosts that up quite a bit. But now scrum feed on their own 22 here, South Africa. Both sides having 100% scrum accuracy last week. It's a big push, comes straight out the back, and Grant Williams will kick this one towards the touchline. Going to be an awkward bouncy ball, but it sits up for Tom Wright. Thought about the 50-22, but will run it instead. This is where Australia were dangerous. Passing on the outside. Suaalii puts it down, and it will go back now for what should be is it not a scrum for the South Africans there? No, they are going to go back for it now. I was going to say Suaalii knocked that on about a metre in front of him. What time is the game starting? The game has already started. Currently 4 minutes in and 3-0 for the South Africans, but that could have been dangerous. Suaalii just looking up at the defender in front of him, seeing Cheslin Colby on his side. And I think it might have actually been Dialendi that caught his vision and did force the error. Looks like a bit of an injury here. It could be Tom Wright down. This is a big one for the Australians if he is unable to continue. Looks like the upper knee is where they are giving it a bit of a twist at the moment, and then another 22. Says Taylor, I'm listening to your commentary, but watching it on Stan Sports. Is there a reason why you are 20 seconds behind? It is because I'm watching on Sky Sport now in New Zealand rather than on Sky. It's pretty much the reason there. You're looking smart, Amish, says Carol. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. A little bit of a break here. 4 minutes into the contest due to the injury of Tom Wright. And after having the most running meters out of any Wallabies player and out of anyone in the whole first round of the Rugby Championship, they certainly will not want to lose him. Got plenty of attacking prowess. And I type bruv, says Heptagonal Ghost, and come on the Wallabies discipline, says Moa Sopi. And also Hamish on his way to a job interview, says Big Rig. And there too, but it is going to be another scrum for the South Africans high from the campsite, says Tanya. So hopefully camping is going well. What time is the game starting for South Africa versus Australia? It started 4 minutes ago. And they currently are 3-0 up. We won't get excited yet. Bok must go, or must not lose concentration, says Jeremy. That is true. I mean, at the end of the day, last week we did see 22-0 on the board for the South Africans, and it never quite picked up from there. So, yeah, it's definitely early days in this contest, but it does look like a very good start. This is not good for Tom Wright, though. Taken off the field due to the injury. He is in almost tears on the sideline, and Callaway makes his way onto the field as the number 15. That is huge, because Callaway, don't get me wrong, he's a great player, but Tom Wright's been solid. He was one of the keys last week. Big scrum there, coming from South Africa, going to the left-hand side, inside border, up and Lilifasi. Bit of a mistake there from Nick White. Cross-kick to Colby, who's just dropped that ball. And I believe they'll go back for the original scrum advantage after South Africa make 40 metres off the attack. I'll go right back, and this is once again a chance for Andre Pollard to consider taking on that 3 points. And Callaway is good. He is good. But Tom Wright, they would have liked to have Callaway come on maybe at about 60 minutes rather than 3. And very early time, says Sean. And also Tom Wright is no longer right. And no right, no win, says Zach there. And go Bok, please, says Heather Oxenshire, though, winning the first penalty of the contest at scrum time. Now, Andre Pollard from 45 metres out. Have we got there? Please shout out my son, Heinrich. Listening live with me on your channel, Go the Box here, Stan. So shout out to your son, Heinrich. Andre Pollard sitting 1 from 1. He sits 78% as his accuracy throughout his kicking career. And no right. 2 wins, says Taylor. Did they target Tom? Not really. It was just in the tackle. I think he fell awkwardly. Pollard, though, straight down the middle again. That is now 6 early points for the South Africans. And right, taken out. Says Tommy there. And also, I have thanks for your comments. Says, no worries at all. And we are going to be doing that game taking place between between Argentina and New Zealand later on tonight too. The crowd are absolutely loving the start of this one in Cape Town. The weather, it is playing ball too. Show the boys your pants, Hamish, says Delmain. And good morning, Hamish, says Zion. Now kicked off by Nick White into the 22 this time. Quaka Smith takes it nicely. Corey Tall not quite able to cover that ground like he did the first time around. James Dolman telling Grant Williams to use it. Looks like he's going to go for a kick himself here. And will go high. Doesn't look towards the touchline. Instead chased after it. It is Kane and Moody knocked on by Arges Neyman. Taniela Tupou sells the big dummy. And that one will go back now for the first initial Arges Neyman scrum. First knock on. So now we have the scrum. And Hamish is more interesting than the rugby, says Carol Ann. And also we need to get 10 tries against Australia today, says James. I will say, though, at least the 3 more than the Australians would be ideal here for South Africa. Get into a position where that bonus point is intact, because that puts them right back on the right track to head towards a rugby championship title. 59% possession early on in this match for the South Africans. 41% for the Australians. Territory, 77% for the Australians. We got Megan in the chat. Has said, hey, Hamish, welcome in, Megan. Hope you're doing extremely well. I hope you have been having a great week. I'm sure Hamish has boxer shorts on and flip-flops, says Jason. Be pretty brave for this type of weather. We're currently 1 degree Celsius. Hope my team win today, says Megan in there as well. Now, ready to feed that ball in. Aussies by 5, says Jeff, and that is going to be now an early tap taken by Nick White. Goes for the grubber. Bit of space there. Corey Tall waits for the bounce of the ball, and it's the try for Australia. Caught napping there, the Springboks on the short side. And counter-attack from Australia. It's a repeater last week. And Australia have got themselves the first try in this match. And it's the debutant, Corey Tall, with pace for days. And a motor to match. 8 minutes in. Tall strikes. We have there, I told you, woo. And also, I'm doing good, Hamish. My week was a bit stressful. Hope you're doing good. Says Megan. And there as well. Tell you what, Pollard's landed awkwardly on Corey Tall's leg there. But yeah, hopefully your week is a bit less stressful now over the weekend, Megan. And that is going to be a stressful start for the Wallabies there. And we have got the 6-0. And also we have got Yo, says Lisa, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. How's Corey Tall doing that? Then bam, he scored. And anybody call that as the first try? I don't think many people see Corey Tall as the first option, but James O'Connor keeps it low and it goes over the post. So now Australia take the lead in this matchup. We have got there, oh yeah. And there I will also mention, anyone who doesn't already, be sure to follow us on the Kiwi Lads Instagram. It is the pinned comment, that second link in there. We do reply to all the messages that we get on there, so be sure to do just that. And yeah, we talk a lot of rugby. We talk a lot of random stuff too. Watch the rugby now. Says Amanda. Well, currently it's 9 minutes in Australia. They have got themselves that 1 point lead. And come on, boys. Says Danville and South Africa win. Says Sahel and also Aussies quick hit back. And also Africa trying to win off penalties. Says JW. That one's going to be sent into touch. And away to John Lutapre. It was late illness. That took him out of the side. So Quaka Smith went into the number 8 jersey. And then from there, Andre Easthuizen will be the man off the bench. Watching from Vietnam, says Mr. Selwood. And watch us cook. We are playing with heart, says Charles. But now line out throw, Malcolm Marks. Once again in charge of the hooking. That sounded like an advantage there from James Dolman. Or at least I think he said advantage. All trying to get in the breakdown. Lee Nicotell told to get out of it. Grant Williams going off to the left-hand side. Pollard. Oh, great take from Jesse Krill. The pass was behind him. Not on Instagram, on Gab. I haven't heard of Gab, to be fair. And come on, boys, says Claire Lee. Rohan Nokia. And tries, wins game, says Glenn Sell. And 6-5, says Heather there too. And James O'Connor, is this 2011 or 2025? Tell you what, he's looking revitalised though. JOC. He had a good season for the Crusaders off the bench. Cheslin Colby going up for that ball. Can't quite take it cleanly as Callaway met him in the air. Quagga Smithy's just knocked Nick White out there by the looks of it, and the ball stolen by South Africa. Bit of physicality on the short side. Thomas DeToy, half an inch out from the try line. Williams looking off to the right, but Nick White is still down. He doesn't know where he is, Nick White. Took a nasty knock as Quagga dragged him down and dropped him on his head. Now Williams off to the right-hand side. Andre Pollard, cross-kick attempted by that man. Keeps it flat. Ball bounces up to Canan Moody. And it's a try-scoring fest out on that wing. Nick White's going to need an HIA. But Moody gets the try. 11 minutes in to this contest and already 2 tries. Back and forth type of game between these two teams. I think they're just going to check it here by the sounds of it. Springboks are too relaxed. And also we have got so if New Zealand, or if you're New Zealand, who do you want to win this game? Aussie, I guess. So yeah, he's Big Rig. I honestly don't mind. As long as whoever wins this game does play a good game of rugby. And at the moment it looks like both sides playing pretty decently. Hamish is only wearing a shirt and tie as any good home office commentator. Says Taylor. But now, celebrations from the stands. I do think that number 9, Nick White, might have to go off the field here because he did slam his head on the ground very hard. This man is just good. I don't even like rugby jokes. He's commentating his next level, says Isaac. And also, well done, Quagga. Nick White just bought some property in CT. That one's going to go over. And now, 13 points to 7. The lead coming back. South Africa with 13 points, says Saskia. And also, I say, shut down Corey Tor. I'm telling you, says 420. Okay, 13 had a high tackle, which was a penalty only. I think I've just heard there from the ref. And great commentary, Hamish, says Firelight Gaming. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here. Nick White concussed, says Ruth there. Yeah, so Tate McDermott has made his way onto the field, so they have made that switch. I see taken off the restart for the South Africans. Pollard is still our best 10, says Kanya. And finally, our first try for 72 minutes, says Tommy. Oh, Grant Williams looking to roll this one back into the pocket. Andre Pollard goes high and cross the field with it. And nicely taken by Max Jorgensen. Offload to James O'Connor, who breaks away with a pass on the outside of Callaway. He goes with the grubber, but 2 players back for the South Africans. Drop ball from Pollard, and the try may have just about been scored by Fraser McWright. Pollard has a blunder, and now the Aussies, I think they'll just check to make sure it wasn't a high shot on him. But again, the counter-attack from Australia going insane at the moment. They're going to show the replay. Nah, it's on the shoulder. It rides up afterwards when Andre Pollard was slipping. I don't think this is going to be ruled as a high tackle. I think that was fine. But it sounds like they do want to check it here just in case. McWright has well and truly got the grounding. Okay, they're just having a chat here. Yes, for Polly. Best. I think we jinxed that. Wait, hang on. There's a knock-on in the tackle. It will be no try. Or is it? I think they just want to check this again. That seemed very early that they said no try, though. Lost forward, says Pads Ablaze. And also go the Bok, says Beverly there. We're going to see it now. Andre Pollard had that ball initially. Does Callaway's hand brush that ball? Because if it did, this will be no try. If not, that will be the try for Fraser McWright. Going to see the replay now. Right there, just clips the finger of Andrew Callaway. So I think this one's going to be no try for Fraser McWright. And that was a nervous moment there for Andre Pollard, having to defend after a bit of an awkward bounce. That was a try, says Chuck T there. And come on the box. And knock on, says Christian there. So it is going to be called as that knock on, which now means no try. Callaway just yelling on the sideline there. He's already had his elbow pretty much ripped up there. The customer is always McWright. And no try knock on, says Zion there. And if we did, we wouldn't be here, says Stephen Wolf. And also it's a try, says Jeff J. And there too, where to watch it is on Supersport. It is on Sky Sport. It is on Stan Sport. I believe it is available on one of the ones in the UK as well. And I try knock on, says Vid B. And Wires Crew always begging for penalties, says Chuck T. To be fair, in that case, if he hadn't gone up and asked the question, that could have been just ruled as a try. So he's done well there as the captain, Jesse Creel. Now it will be the scrum for the South Africans, sitting about 10 metres out from their line. And there was a trash call, says Chuck T. And also now that was lucky, says Taylor. Yeah, a little bit of, once again, that dangerous counter-attacking coming from the Australians to keep an eye out for. 2 handling errors so far from the South Africans. 1 from Australia. The scrum holding strong, not moving. South Africa want to try and push them back, but they've been told to use it. Williams back into the pocket to Andre Pollard. And he manages to find the touchline. Jorgensen decides against taking it quickly. The lady in the house, or the lady is in the house. Yes, I'm here, Lady Lynn. And now let's keep going, box. And also we have got there, it's that rush from the Aussies that keeps catching our Springboks off guard. And also, what was your prediction for this game? I went 32-22 in favour of South Africa. So I could be quite wrong. I often am. Now we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, it's going all right for the South African team. They are leading by the 6 point. Nicely taken by Tom Hooper at line-out time. Billy Pollard goes across now to James O'Connor. Low tackle made from Andre Pollard. Manages to roll out of that breakdown without giving away the penalty. Rob Valentini, big contact with Thomas the Toy. Bit of a counter-ruck from Marco van Staden, but he's given away the penalty advantage for playing the 9. McDermott, while the Aussies are under advantage, that is when they're at their most dangerous. James O'Connor tries the cross game. In fact, it was Lena Cattell this time. And who do you like better, though? Aussies or the Box? Says Steppenwolf. I love watching both of these sides play. To be fair, it's great to see that Australia are starting to be a little bit more competitive because they have been through some tough times, but the South Africans, at the end of the day, they're the world champs. So they're always going to be side to watch out for. There was almost a little bit of an elbow there from Marco van Staden on Tate McDermott's head. They can't afford to lose another halfback here, Aussie. They don't really have too many other backups. Now, getting ready to kick this one towards the corner. Odds passing is fairly poor. Lots of hot potatoes, says Studs Rays, although that's sometimes where they've been able to benefit from, just pretty much trying to throw it around all over the place. We have got there, O'Connor needs the ball. So here's Moasopi there. And also I'm picking the Wallabies to escape with a win. And g'day, Hamish, this is Big V8 Show. Welcome in, hope you're doing extremely well, mate. Now the Wallabies looking for that line out. They're just checking the numbers here for James Dom. And this could be when we see a rolling maul attempted from the Australians. Billy Pollard, his lineouts were relatively successful last week, but they don't go for them all this time. McWright goes across to McDermott. There's a lot of mix in the back line now. James O'Connor with the mixed steak going out wide. That could be a new burger from McDonald's. Corey Toole taking that ball. Max Jorgensen. Off to the right-hand side, O'Connor again. Short ball to Hooper, the rush defence from Argus Neyman. Cross to the right. Leon Akatau looks to break through the line and Nokia get him down. Now going short side again. Not a lot of numbers here for the Australians, but a big man in Taniela Tupou to help clean him out. Skelton wrestled down. McDermott, they're not really going forward at the moment for the Australians, but here comes the back line. Jorgensen breaks through, but just grabbing onto the jersey was Kanan Moody. Australia trying to get down to the turf as Dear Lindy looked to turn it into a rolling maul. Oh, drop ball, go backwards and McDermott breaks through the line up to 22 metres out. He's been dragged down awkwardly by Damien Dearlindy, and the steal and the breakdown from Marco van Staden, who gets right in the face of Tom Hooper. That man is shouting Bokke in the stands. That was not releasing the ball, but Marco van Staden in there lightning quick to get the steal up against his opposite number. What's the actual score? 13-7 or 13-12? It's 13-7 due to the disallowed try for the Australians. Great that you are excited, happy, and energetic. I'm only slowly getting there. I'm a bad loser, says Rihanna there. And also to me, this will be a loss. Even if South Africa wins by a few points, got to be a big win. Of course, they will be chasing that bonus point. That will be the main goal for them in this contest. And Bok says Lady Lynn and Van Staden top draw. That's next level, says Thuds Race. Definitely with the fact that the breakdown looked like it was still moving at the time that he was able to lock on to the ball without putting his hands down. They're getting that crucial steal out against Neyman. Little knock on there from the South Africans again at line-out time. Taniela Tupou slots it back to Corey Toole, who tries to get around Van Staden, who cleans him up. And they will go back now for the initial scrum. Aussies by 5, says Jeff J. I wish I forgot to say I met my friend Piper Niven after SmackDown, says Patrick. And can you tell us where the ball is? Ball is going to be 40 metres out from the line at the moment for the Australians after that line out was unsuccessful from South Africa. Artigas Neyman, just a little bit of extra pressure on them. Malcolm Marx did drop it. And we have got there, what a boring chat. Lowell says, Fluff, well, luckily you don't have to stay. We have got there, Blaze to the rescue again, says Paddy. And also we have got there, come on the block, says Curtis there as well. But yeah, still looking relatively sunny at the moment at Cape Town Stadium. It was anticipated to be a rainy day for this contest. But luckily, that is not what we have had here. 24 tackles made by South Africa so far, 18 tackles made by the Australians. 4 tackles missed by South Africa, not a single tackle missed by the Australians, but they have conceded that try out wide off the cross kick of Andre Pollard. But already a quarter of the way through this fixture, 20 minutes in. Tate McDermott to feed the ball, and we have heard no report of whether or not Nick White will be able to return, but I don't think he will be able to. Corey Tall, flat run straight at Grant Williams, and Pollard, the box retreating couple, look close to being offside. Back across, McWright goes to Rob Valentini, who bumps off Damien Dialendi. No one really does that. The big Bobby V put in the big shot. Malcolm Marx looking for the steal on the breakdown. He is not happy with Tom Hooper's clean out, but they'll go short side again here for the Australians as they move towards the 22. Mostert gets a big shot coming in. Now, Will Skelton runs straight at Malcolm Marx, who tries to clear out of the breakdown. Off to the right-hand side, finds Billy Pollard. A little bit of a counter-ruck from Australia Neyman again. Trying to just cause a bit of disruption for this Australian side. Big clean out of Malcolm Marx. He's been in the battles throughout the last couple minutes, diving in over the top from Quagga Smith, and there will be the advantage in favour of Australia. Lena Cattell, 20 metres out from the line. Great phase play here from the Australians through the side. Malcolm Marx tries to grab that ball, and they'll go back for the penalty. We're there listening in whilst working my Coldplay shift in Wembley. Says in KN, so I do appreciate you being here. Hopefully it is all going smoothly for yourself. Ardgear, what a legend of running rugby. This is how you play the game, boys, says Westside. And also we have got there the stress this has given me, says Gale. Right, Australia have a big decision here of whether or not they want to kick this one towards the corner and hammer you neutral while commentating New Zealand games too. I believe so. Like, some people will say otherwise, but I try and call the games down the middle. I quite like Argentina too, so that makes it nice and easy to be as smack bang down the middle as we can. 3 penalties against Australia so far in the early stages, 2 against South Africa. I think they're just once again trying to show a replay of round the neck of Malcolm Marx. That is the one benefit that they do have of the hometown crowd, or the hometown camera crew, I should say, is they will look for those little things, show them on the monitors a couple times. Billy Pollard ready to throw this ball in. They aren't going to be lifting Will Skelton, I can tell you that right now. They go to the front to Tom Hooper this time, and the rolling maul is set here for the Australians. They have to be very smart about this, because you've got a guy in Australia Neyman whose arms are absolutely extremely long. Can be dangerous. Lena Cattell now charging forward. 5 metres out from the line. Malcolm Marx, though, looking for the steal and the breakdown. I believe James Dolman was unsure about that one, and he lets South Africa go in and get it. Nice work from Thomas Tatoy. Now Andre Pollard. Skip pass out wide. Cheslin Colby with a bit of space, but he decides the boot is the better option. And it is a great kick downfield from Colby. A nice territory gain for the South Africans. We have got there, there's the Rugby Championship. The Aussies will go for the corner. They need tries, says Yako there. And also come on the block. And also All Blacks, we have a field day with Springboks playing like this, says the 40s. Although they're building into it a little bit, I will say, South Africa. They've scored that early try like they did last time in their matches up against the Australians. But if they can sort out a couple of those little gaps, in terms of Australia, even in the last 5 minutes or so, haven't had a lot of go forward, unlike that first little while. So I think it's slowly getting a little bit more gelled here for the South Africans. Thrown in, nicely taken by Nick Frost. McWright, another advantage going the way of the Australians. Rob Valentini had the ball ripped off him by Quagga Smith, but it still went back. They will go back now for the original penalty. We have got there, take the 3. And we have got there, Bok can do whatever they want right now. The big question is, will they collapse in the second half again, says Big Rig. And Quagga defending at 10 a lot. He's doing a huge amount of work already here, Quagga Smith. Looks like Ruan Nokia dealing with a knee injury perhaps of his own. Last year they did have a real problem in terms of the injured locks. James O'Connor, though, kicking this one downfield, looking towards the corner, and it does go out about 22 metres from the line. I have to say I haven't seen too much of Apelele Fasi as of yet for South Africa, so that's a slightly good thing, isn't it? If you don't see a fullback throughout the early stages, looks like Rua Nokia is going to try and continue in this match, and Leka Boka, or Leka Kwaka, says Yako there, we need Savia, says the Fories. And South Africa have run out of steam. It's downhill from round one, what a shame, says Mark van der Vesterhuizen. And also, where's the link to stream live game today, says Tom. So that would be on DSTV, Stan Sport, or Sky Sport. Probably your best options depending on where you are in the world. The crowd are loving it at the moment. They are dancing big time in the stands. Billy Pollard, though, will want to make sure this one goes straight into the hands of Frost. It's called as not straight. Tell you what, that's probably one of the straighter not straight throws we have actually seen. We saw one in the Tonga versus Samoa game. The guy took it on the outside. The ref went, meh, we'll just let it slide. See how it goes, but it is now going to be the scrum feed for South Africa. Answering the game, please. Don't have a TV, says Amy Smart, or sorry, Amy Swart it was. Any licensing or any match footage shown does get you taken straight off YouTube with a copyright strike. There's a reason that you can't find too many illegal streams on YouTube. It's because they take them down pretty much instantly. We have got there, we will bribe for you, please win, says Gale, and massive hit on White, McDermott off the bench, and need to try now, says Martin, but they are just outside of the 22 South Africa. Grant Williams will have the feed. For F's sake, mate, just show the effing game. It doesn't take many brain cells, Stephen, to know that that's illegal, although that might be a little bit above your pay grade. We've got Grant Williams now with the scrum feed, 25 metres out from the Springbok line. We can watch the game. DSTV, Stan Sport, Sky Sports. Sadly, no free-to-air options for these matches. I always say about how it would be great if they had the free-to-air option for the Rugby Championship, but sadly they don't seem to. Rugby Pass might be another option to be able to look at too. Nice run forth from Franco Mostert. Now, rolling this one back, Grant Williams. I think they've been told to use the ball. It's taken a little while to come out there. He better hurry up here, Grant Williams. Could find himself with a scrum against him. We have got there, be nice Amish, says Solid. And there, I only matched the energy there. There was many nicer ways that he could have put it, wasn't there? And now Andre Pollard charging forward. McRide in the breakdown, got 3 last week. That one's going to go nice and high. Underneath it, Corey Toole charging onto it, but Kanan Moody wins the aerial battle. All but does knock it on as he did hit the ground. We have got there, South Africa needs to wake up. Before we taste a piece of humble pie again. And also we have got there on what channel? On DSTV, I believe it's 201 and 211 as those options. And Scotland just officially bet Wales 38-8. That's a big win for the Scottish there. And it was the ref. Are we liking him, says Stephanie? It is James Dominic. He's done all right so far, I believe. Anyway, I wouldn't say there's anything that's been too rough. Some people would argue that that try of Australia that was disallowed maybe couldn't have been, but it did look like it did touch the hand of Andrew Callaway. Last week's loss against Australia was his first loss in a Springbok jersey and his 15th test for Kanan Moody. So he's been a very successful Bok throughout his time. And Dr. Rassi ain't going to be happy. Ain't locker half time. And also we have got there, with the amount of ads that roll out on YouTube, you would expect at least 1 or 2 YouTube channels to stream for free. You'd think so. Like, that's the thing as well. Sometimes they will show the replays of these games a few days later on YouTube, which I think if they did it the next day, they'd find quite a bit of success as well. Are you Kiwi, mate? I am indeed from New Zealand, so it's currently 3:43 a.m, but Leonard Cattell passing it off to Corey Toole, going sideways, does decide to go for the grubber and behind Cheslin Colby retreating there. In fact, it was fussy. And now will be the line out for South Africa, about 30 metres out from their try line. We're already 28 minutes through. Great commentary. Without you, it would be miserable. I can't believe you are the only one doing this in the world. Not one live commentary. I've searched high and low and can't find anything, says Mike. Well, it is greatly appreciated you popping in. We are going to be here for every single game of the Rugby Championship, as well as the November Internationals we're going to be covering on the channel as well. So you at Eden Park then, says Conrad. Yeah, that's going to be an outstanding game. It's the big question of what will the table look like heading into those matches. Same amount of time you type that. The chat says Chuck, and we have got a new mem in Nessie. Thank you very much. But in that membership button, you now have the option of those emojis in the chat that you see every once in a while. But now Grant Williams going to be rolling this ball back for the box kick yet again here for South Africa. Going high. Charging onto this is Max Jorgensen. Nicely taken by Colby, though. At the moment, you'd have to say the aerial advantage to the South Africans. Andre Pollard cross to Damien Dialendi. Not a huge amount of running from him, but he goes for the cross kick to Kainan Moody, who does skew with it off the side of his boot, out on the full. Australia now with the line out 48 metres from the Bok line. Washing my windows while listening to you, says Carlin there. And also Bok this time, says Lawrence. And also, I hate it when Hondrays start. We just know South Africa is going to play the boring game and only rely on penalties. Hondray has got off the bench to seal the game. So in that case, though, who would you have as the starting team? As this your source of income, or do you work? I do work alongside this. This is just the hobby for myself, but work a full-time job during the week. Are you topless while washing? Don't ask that, Fluffy. Great commentary, mate, says Kathy. Welcome in. But 10 minutes remaining at the moment. They are just checking this one again. Number 5. High tackle, they have said. But it's actually Tom Hooper, the number 6 here. I want to see the match, says Jalen. It is available in a few different locations, but sadly not a lot of free options around. Hamish, we are so happy that you do this commentary. I started listening to rugby on the radio, I was at 70 years ago, says Denise. So yeah, it is greatly appreciated that you do decide to pop in for these ones. They are just showing the replay. I think there's marginal contact with the mouth of Colby there, so I think it's just called as a high tackle, won't be anything more. It sounds like Boks are stuck in their half, although now getting the chance to move forward. Nicely taken. Rohan Nokia. Grant Williams across to Damien Dialendi, sitting 30 metres out from the Wallabies line. Williams finds Mako fun start, and he's had a busy start to this contest. Jorgensen was in the breakdown trying to get that steal. It is unsuccessful. And his venture, Williams back across Taniela Tupou, rushing up to put in the big hit on Rohan Nokia. And Pollard across to Damien Dialendi again. Tom Hoop, another tackle made. At the moment, it seems to be a lot of the backs are playing as forwards in those breakdowns, which makes you wonder, penalty going the way of the Australian side. Entry from Marco Fun starter, but the likes of that last breakdown, we saw Apalele Fasi in there. We saw Jorgensen in there for the Australians. We have got their Bokkers goaded, says Jalen. And also, topless pool cleaner, $100 an hour, Hamish. Is that like to buy one, or are you saying that I should do it for that? I don't think anyone would pay more than probably about 50 cents for me to clean their pool while topless. We have got their box, don't look threatening, says John. I do think that will change, though. Like, they are still in the scenario of being up by 6, so there's probably not as much rushing going on at the moment for the box. Yeah, Fun starting just in through the side to grab the leg of Will Skelton to try and pull him out of that breakdown. And 13-7 is crazy. And what channel showing it for free? Sadly, none of them, unfortunately. Pollard throwing this ball in, nicely taken by Frost. To the left-hand side, James O'Connor, little pop pass up from Lena Cattell, finds Joseph Suali'i. And off to the right-hand side, Skelton with some nice hands. James O'Connor, what a take that was from Taniela Tupou until he did drop it afterwards. Williams, a little bit hesitant, but does go back to Apalele Fasi. Pollard finds Dialendi, who steps. Low tackle made from McRae. Big shot attempted by James O'Connor on Quacker Smith, but got bumped off. Now moving 40 metres out from their line. South Africa, flat pass from Rohan Nokia. Now Williams back into the pocket. Andre Pollard again will kick this ball high. Seeing a much more kicking orientated game than last week. Nice take from Corey Tall. Bump off of Kainan Moody. Gets the offload to Lena Cattell. Does kick it downfield. Pollard once again claiming it about 25 metres out from his line. Wide cut out pass. Finds Apalele Fasi's hands. Will kick it high off his left boot, chasing after it as well for the up and under. Wins the aerial contest. Offload to Rohan Nokia. A lot of space starting to open up now for the box, but 2 Australians in the breakdown, and they manage to get the steal. Valentini back to Tate McDermott. He'll look for the sideline, but he finds the hands of Cheslin Colby. Open space on the near side for the dangerous winger. Ball sits up with Taniela Tupou, and he kicks it out on the full. I think he might have dislocated his finger in the process. He does not look happy at the moment. Something to do with his hand, but that was a hectic little bit of play from these two sides. Aussies by 5, says Jeff J. Go Colby, says Yako, but the initial kick from Apalele Fasi and went up for it. McDermott did not win that aerial challenge either. So far we have seen quite a few times where South Africa have managed to retain that ball, and it's just that tackle on Roa Nokia from Callaway and Corey Toole. Listening from the Doha airport. Thanks for your work. Says Grant, no worries at all. And yeah, it is greatly appreciated you being here. Taniela Tupou. Looks like he's getting some strapping on his fingers. Initially, it looked like he was going to kick this ball downfield, but perhaps then realised, that pinky's not supposed to bend that way. No wonder he was wincing. His finger, for perspective, this is a hand, as some would know, and his finger, his pinky, was like that. Forget about that one. His pinky was out there like that, just as a little bit of a visual representation. That's not how a pinky should sit. He is not a chicken. Chicken, of course, have that one at the back, but he should not have that. So they've taped it up, and he's going to continue. And now Jesse Krill sitting 15 metres out from the line. Oxenshire almost through the beast, getting a little bit closer. Or should I say the Ox, the beast, of course, already taken for a South African player, or Grant Williams wanting the penalty against Will Skelton. Tried to slow it down that little bit more, going off to the right-hand side. Quagga Smith goes over through the post, and South Africa get themselves their second try. But Quagga, he wasn't initially going to be in the starting side, but he is now, and he has had an impact from minute number 1. 35 minutes in, South Africa extend their lead to 11 with a nice, easy kick to come. We have got there, who's your boys today? Tell us. As in, like, who do I think's going to win? I did go 32-22 as my prediction in favour of South Africa. And also we have there, what coach encourages props booting the ball? I think it was more so the fact that he thought about it and he went, my finger's backwards. I should probably just boot this ball into touch. I'm not listening to this guy. I'm just here for the chat, says Jalen. Smart move. We have got there, Bok. And also, yes, there's Wild Lobster, and also a nice Quagga, says Clive. That one has gone over. And to be fair, I've actually heard of people before having me on mute just to be able to talk about the game with people who are also talking about the game. Same as some people mute their TV to listen to me. Anyone got a chicken they can name Pinky? Says Scott there, and thanks, Hamish. There was great commentary on his hand and his finger, says Leon. And also, we got the yippee great try, although I couldn't see it, says Timothy. Yes, you'll have to take my word for it. It was a very nice one from Quagga Smith. Can you just show us the match? I sadly can't, because or else I'd end up in prison. And I don't want to go to prison. I'd prefer to not be in there. And g'day, Sir Hamish. And also, Quagga deserved that try, says Jakob, but now going to be kicked off. Going short, nicely taken from Pollard. Tackle low by Fraser McWright. All on the side of South Africa again, who do sit 20 points to 7 up over the Australians. This is starting to build quite nicely for the Boks in this contest. Fraser McWright again trying to get that steal on the breakdown. Doesn't quite do it. We have got the great commentary, Hamish. This is why I would rather listen to you than watch the game. Says Jan, this one's gone high. Nicely taken by Andrew Callaway as he's wrestled down by Cheslin Colby. Artegas Neyman. Going to get straight into the breakdown. That's something South Africa have done well in this game. It's just that disruption. Stop Australia's quick ballers. That is where they have been the most dangerous throughout these Rugby Championship fixtures. Big Rig Joe is once again a member of the channel. Thank you very much for hitting that button. Tate McDermott. 3 minutes remaining in the first half, and Australia looking to go aerial once more. Max Jorgensen not able to get to it. Andre Pollard takes and gives it off to Cheslin Colby. Trying to create a bit of a gap. He gets through a couple. Now we'll kick it downfield. Looking for the 50-22, but he won't get it. Callaway is back, and he will look for a 50-22 of his own. Apalele Fasi just outside of the Bok 22. Goes up and under just like he did last time. He won this one, and that one's out on the full for Apalele Fasi. Now we have got there a new member, Wild Lobster, as well. Thank you very much. And we have got there... And also, I am almost too cautious to say anything till the second half. However, it seems like humble pie is delicious. Says Marius there. And also, he will be man of the match. At the moment, for me... See, Van Staden, other than the fact that he gave away that penalty before, has been looking extremely strong. Same can be said about Cheslin Colby. He's been relatively decent out on that wing. Kanan Moody as well. There's a few Boks who are stepping up and putting their name in the hat. Quagga Smith as well. After scoring that last try, James O'Connor tries the step, offloads up to Billy Pollard, who's taken that ball very well for a man who wasn't expecting the pass. But on the halfway line here, Australia with Fraser McWright off to the left. McDermott Goes to Len Ikitau. I've noticed a lot of the time when a Mick touches the ball and McDermott, McWright gets it straight away after. Look at this, McDermott goes straight to McWright. You can't see it, of course, but Callaway, another step. Good low tackle made by Thomas Detoy. Oxenshare looking for the steal. Will scout him with a step. The big man tries to deceive the Springbok defence. Now two-man tackle on Rob Valentini. He was dipping down, so no advantage in favour of the Australians. Will Skelton again, trying to make those couple metres. Quagga Smith, was he off his feet? Yes, he was, and the penalty goes the way of Australia. And Go Quagga says, Margarita. And also came here all because of you, Hamish. You are a good commentator, says Tino Tender. Thank you very much. And we are going to be here for every game of the Rugby Championship, so if you guys are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And South Africa says, Nozevi. Oh, I think Australia might actually be opting for the 3 points here. We see it there, Quagga Smith just off his feet. Wasn't a mile off getting that ball. And gets Skelton off Smith. Says Crimson, but James O'Connor now looking to add the extra points. And also, I should mention, only 20 seconds remaining of this first half. The ball was out. This ref is a chop, says Darryl. Although normally the ruling with the ball being out is if the ball's out, you're allowed to get it, but you have to stay on your feet. So that's where Quagga Smith was penalised there. If he hadn't fallen forward with the ball in his hands, then he would have been fine. But in that scenario, yes, if the ball is out, you're allowed to go for it, but you have to be on your feet to do so. And Quagga sadly was not. And make sure you got yourself a beer after the game, Aaron says Glob. Although we've got a couple hours and then we're straight back into it for the next one. And that'll be Argentina versus New Zealand. James O'Connor does get it over. Adds the extra 3 and the score going into halftime is 20 points to 10. Now, last game, it was 22-5 going into the second half, and we all know what happened there. So this game is far from over, but I have to say the South African side as a whole for the half, I think have looked a little bit better than we saw in that first match. First game, we saw some absolutely phenomenal stuff in the first 20 minutes, and then from there it slightly dropped off, and that's where Australia started to find their rhythm. Knock, knock, who's there? From Imran there, and do you practice the pronunciation of the names? Sometimes. It depends on the guys that are playing, but also anytime I get one wrong, normally people will correct me. Are you doing the Women's World Cup? We are doing the game tomorrow between New Zealand and Spain, but we won't be doing as many games as I wanted to of that World Cup because there are so many overlaps with the Rugby Championship, as well as a few other games. Like perfect example is currently at the moment, I believe there is a match that is taking place for the women, or about to take place, Canada versus Fiji. That is in around 33 minutes time. Quite off his feet going for the ball, says Chuck T there. And already first half done. Yeah, it's absolutely flown by for that first half period, ladies and gents. I will mention anyone who is new, once again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 70,000 and we are less than 1,000 away, so let's see how close we can get by the halftime break. We're going to be back for more of the Rugby Championship just around the corner, but 900 away from the big 70,000. Perhaps we can get there by the end of this one. We have got there, let's hear. It sounds like Quagga Smith guy is passing the eye test, says Isaac, and also we have got there, cheers from the Netherlands. Only way to catch a game is listening to you. Thank you, says Real Pirate. No worries at all. And we got a member of 17 months, Rob Valentini, is the best Lucy in the world. That's a bold statement. He's done all right in this game so far, though. Definitely after just coming back from an injury. And also we have got there, won the match between the Cheetahs and the Lions. There's one effing bought ref. For Australia or for South Africa? Because we've got to remember there was a disallowed Australian try, that some people were giving. So I assume if you're talking about that last penalty, you're saying that against South Africa or you're against New Zealand. He's commentating on the game, says Chuck T. And we have got there, Hamish, you're such an example, dude. Your workload is incredible, buddy. Mark from Cape Town. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, it's always a lot of fun when you guys are in the chat. I will mention that the chat is going at 1,000 miles an hour today, so I am missing a lot of messages, but I will be going back to read them afterwards. So, you know, if I have missed your message initially, it's not on purpose. It's just because it's absolutely rocketing. Maybe today was a good thing Quagga started, says Albert. Yeah, he's been doing all right so far. Definitely with the late change as well. 100% Bok, says David. And also we have got their way these Aussies play. Got no show of lifting that Bledisloe Cup up against the AB, says Zion. And also Box forever, forever green, forever gold. Was from Viv there too. But looking through at the benches, the big change early on in the match. In fact, the two big changes that we saw from the Australians. Andrew Callaway making his way onto the field for Tom Wright, who had 5 clean breaks in the last contest, or 5 defenders beaten, alongside over 100 running metres. Taking him off after 2 minutes due to a knee injury. Tate McDermott, he's already out there on the field as well. That was due to the injury of Nick White. He has not returned, so he has failed his HIA. For the South Africans, Quagga Smith, of course, starting, but they have got Andre Esterhuizen in their number 21 jersey. And the way that it sits at the moment, in my opinion, I think that this match later on, South Africa should be the stronger. They've only got one more back replacement here. For the Australians, they would have loved to unleash Callaway for the last maybe 20 or so minutes of this game rather than bringing him on for 73. So they're going to be tested. But Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu, where do they fit him into the Springbok backline? That is another big decision to make. We have got there, South Africa will kick ass. And also we have the Kia ora from Perth, Western Australia. Welcome in, Marcel. 100% Bob squad, says Johannes. And joining late today, how are the Boks looking today? Reckon they'll survive second half? I think they're looking a lot more likely to this week than they were last week. You know, I think that we've seen some very strong moments from the South African side in the breakdowns. That's where there's been a massive difference in this game. Everything is competitive. Everything's contestable for South Africa. They must not play the game Australia. They must change the game. And also we've got the Kiwi cheering for the Aussies from Vietnam. Says Cam there, as expected both sides are playing on eggshells, says John. Yeah, no one wants to make that massive mistake, which is understandable. We have got the Bolt. And there's, is that like your Instagram handle? I assume I do. Thank you very much for your donation. I always come to Hamish's channel with best commentary and his enthusiasm and unbiased enjoyment of the game. Says Paul there. Yeah, we are going to be back in the near future. Argentina taking on New Zealand in the very close proximity, taking place 5 hours' time. We are going to be starting in 4 with the hour build-up for that contest as well. You say South Africa is playing better. Last week was 22-0. Says Big Rig. True, but they were good for the first 20 minutes of last week, whereas in this game, I feel like they've grown throughout the kind of 20 minutes in terms of that second 20-minute period, cheering, not cheating. Spelling mistake, says Reiko there. And hi from Amsterdam, says Shin there. And Box Defence has severely impacted Oz backline cohesion. Exactly. Artiger Snyman is a game changer, and we have seen that already throughout the start of this contest. The way he's rushing up, and same with Quagga Smith, those two are getting right in the face of the Australians. And that is causing a lot of trouble for James O'Connor to be able to link up with Suali'i as well as Leon Ikitau. This game is going to end in a team winning it after 80 minutes. Or could it be a draw? It could still be on the cards. 3-pointer for Aussie and a converted try. Who knows? And thank you for this. I'm in Spain listening to the game. Says Jermaine there. And yeah, that's absolutely awesome, the amount of countries that we've got covered for these live streams. I will mention about 5 minutes away from the second half getting back underway, but this game has flown by, as it would always be expected to when these two sides play. But yeah, it just feels a lot more smoother from the South Africans than last week. It's as if maybe the tactics are a lot better today. Their lineup, maybe they've found that balance. I actually think that, to be fair, Chisel and Colby and Kane and Moody out on the wing have been very strong throughout this game, but also that midfield combination. That's been the difference for the South Africans defensively, I feel. Throughout this contest, they haven't leaked easy tries in terms of those mistakes. Early on, they were susceptible to the counter-attack, but from there, they've really shorted up that little bit more and keep the Lion boys one-on-one. And how long is the break? Normally about a 10 to 12-minute break in between half-time. We have got the tune in from Papua New Guinea. Says Moasopi there. And also, as long as it takes, says Chuck D. And best thing about the live stream, multiple nations all enjoying the rugby. Exactly right. It brings many countries together, and it's all because we love watching this game of rugby, and it's been an entertaining one so far. Elvis has said he's just left the building, subscribing for you now. Says rough, so it is greatly appreciated. We are less than 900 away now from that 70,000. So if you guys haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back for every single game of the Rugby Championship. How can we see the game? DSTV, Stan Sports, Sky Sport. That'd be your best options. But on the Rugby Championship website, it will also have a where to watch list where you can find exactly where it is available. We have got there, where are you guys watching from? I'm from Dunedin in New Zealand, says Rihanna. So you are currently sitting on that 4:05 a.m. kickoff, 4:05 a.m. current time. And second half coming, says Ruth. And I from Indonesia, go Aussie from a Kiwi, says Ron. An amazing how South Africa Box have to play with that go. Wallabies and then the Kiwis, two of the top sides in the world. Now that's tactics. How much do they have to do to win? Says France. I mean, it's certainly going to be challenging for those back-to-back contests of the Rugby Championship. I think that the games in New Zealand, they are considered as the big ones for the Boks in this Rugby Championship competition, but there are still a lot of question marks around what is Russie's side going to actually look like heading into those games. We've already seen a couple injuries for the Australians. Roa Nokia, a bit of a knee injury, but he has continued in this game. But Seo Kolisi, he is out. Peter Steftatoi, he should be returning from his concussion for that match up against the New Zealanders. So far, match stats. This is actually an insane number, ladies and gentlemen. They've got, or actually, meters made. 256 compared to the 216 of the Wallabies. So once again, we're going to have about 1,000-meter match. Tackles been solid so far from both sides. We have there Pollard is our number 110. He plays and runs the Springboks traditional game. And listening from Namibia, says Maverick Blogs there. And watching from Oman, says Anita. Watching from Mars, says Elvis there. Watching from Germany as well. So many different locations. Great commentary listening to you in Zanzibar. Says Paul, if South Africa loses, what would their rankings be? 6. So if South Africa lose by any margin less than 15, they remain as the number 3 side. But if they end up losing this game by more than that, if they lose by 16 again, South Africa would actually drop to 6th in the overall world rankings. And Australia would jump up to 4th. Now, the chance of that happening, I feel, from here are very slim. But then at the same time, we have to remember what happened last week. Yes, it was a fluke or a random scenario that no one anticipated seeing, but it did happen. So we've got to take that into consideration too. But I just don't see Australia doing it twice in a row. I don't think Lightning can strike that way. We have got there here in the UAE, says Marcus. I'm watching from Mauritius, says Carl. And there as well. But looking through at what is to come in this Rugby Championship comp, ladies and gentlemen. We have got the week off next week for the Rugby Championship, then straight back into the action. Australia versus Argentina taking place as the 4:30 p.m. New Zealand time. That will be a 6:30 a.m. kickoff on Saturday, the 6th of September, and then that match at Eden Park, the one that a lot of people are anticipating. And there's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of talk about that game in the near future, also depending on where the Rugby Championship standings do sit. At the moment, New Zealand are top of the table. South Africa, if they were to win this game by this margin, they would still sit in 3rd. They don't have the bonus point as of yet, but if they can get themselves one more, that will put them in a much better position to be able to overtake the Aussies. We have got there as well, Go the Bok. And Philadelphia, says Gus, for where he is watching from, at least the Springboks are showing or slowly becoming battle-hardened, says Tommy, and Faf de Klerk is noticeably absent. I keep saying it, says the 40s. That is because he is not in the squad at the moment. He's a standby player for them. But Grant Williams, he's been a very busy man throughout the last little while. It seems like he is now first choice for the Springboks. The combination of him and Pollard is an interesting one, which seems like as it plays longer, they will probably build that more chemistry and cohesion. But we've seen a lot more kicks coming from South Africa in this game than we did see in the last match. Hamish, have you ever been sunburnt? I have. Not too badly anywhere other than my feet. I got absolutely fried on a beach with my feet. In terms of sunburn, and it was that bad that it just blistered, and I couldn't wear shoes for like 2 weeks, which was pretty annoying. We have there, we want to see the match. The match is on DSTV, Stan Sport, Super Sport, plenty of options, Sky Sport, anything with sport in the name pretty much has got it available. We have got there, where can I watch live match? Stan Sport, Sky Sport, Super Sport, those locations. Me from the Netherlands, says Kudu there, and she's from the Netherlands as well, says Real Pirate. And we have also got there, I think I remember that, says Cool Story. And I need a beer, says Michael. Yeah, there's going to be a stressful second half for both of these sides, don't get me wrong. They will definitely want to make sure that they come out firing here, South Africa. I'm curious about Russie's bench, because last week I feel like we didn't see that same impact that people were anticipating. In this matchup, though, there is a very good chance that we do see a big shove coming from that bomb squad. But do let me know your end score predictions, ladies and gentlemen. What sports channel are you watching, says Dominico. So I am watching it on Sky Sport 2 here in New Zealand. Box will run away with it in the second half. I think Faf can still offer a lot, says Jason. Yeah, I do think Faf still has his role in the squad. And I do actually think that I'd almost argue he's second choice at the moment in terms of Grant Williams, then Faf, and then Kobus. Although some people would say Kobus and then Faf. We have got there, I might have a Cheezel sandwich. That is unique. What are shoes? Thongs, bro. Thongs, bro. Says Lennon. Also, we have got I'm disappointed they didn't bring in Daryl. Who is Daryl? I don't know Daryl. Well, I know a Daryl. Daryl is my uncle. But I don't think he will be playing any rugby anytime soon. I was listening commentary in Afrikaans now first half, but prefer your commentary much more. Says Hazel. And yeah, it is greatly appreciated. Everyone tuning in. 10 minutes. It's pretty much past to this halftime break, and scoreline at the moment is 10 points difference. 10 for Australia, 20 for the Springboks. And enjoying your commentary, says Ian. Thank you very much. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. On the road to 70,000. We are only 850 away now. So we are getting closer and closer to that goal. Perhaps we'll be able to bring it up by the end of the day. Is it halftime? Yes, it is. So just about to get back underway. The two sides making their way out of the tunnel now. The fans in the stands still absolutely loving it. Also probably loving the weather that we've had for this matchup. It was supposed to be a rainy type of performance, but nope. It's been lovely out there on the field. Do you do Afrikaans commentary too? I do not, only because I don't know Afrikaans. I only know Yao Lekker Ding and Baie Dankie. That's about all that I've got there. And we have got there OMG Bang Chan. Is that you? What is Bang Chan? And also, well, you be here for the All Blacks game, my team. I will indeed. We are going to be doing an hour build-up for that contest too. Love me tender, says Elvis, and watching from Zimbabwe. So Tane Edmed, he has made his way onto the field. What's that for? Is that for James O'Connor? If that's for James O'Connor, Australia are losing all of their big players already across this back line. Sounds like they play in their game. Says Daryl there. Brilliant commentary, says Franz there. Right. I'm looking around for James O'Connor. I'm not seeing a James O'Connor here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I think there, James Dolman just having a conversation with Jesse Creel saying there's 4 times that you guys have rushed up and 3 times that you've infringed. Tane Edmed, he will be kicking this one off for the start of the second half. Are the Wallabies the walking wounded for the second 40 minutes? Kicking it off long and almost out on the full. Yes, it is. So the worst possible start for Tane Edmed as he makes his way onto the field for JOC. Your lovely thing, says Carol there. Frustrated with that one, Tane Edmed. Where am I from? I am from New Zealand. That one just going over the sideline. And watching from the UK, says Mark. Now scrum around the halfway line. This is a dangerous position to be on for this Springbok side. What a silly mistake. Yeah, and a mistake that you just can't afford to be making at the start of a half. Go Tonga, of course. Big win for them over the Samoans earlier on in the Pacific Nations Cup. Oh, no, sorry. My apologies. James O'Connor's still out there by the sounds of it, and it's actually Joseph Suali'i who finds himself off the field here. I look at the halftime score, I get the terrible feeling of deja vu. Like I saw this last week, says Mandy. But now the scrum has gone down, no penalty advantage. Grant Williams goes off to Upper Lelefasi, trying to kick him behind, looking for the 50-22, but he was just inside of the Australian territory. But Australia now have a line out only 20 metres out from their try line. Even as Jody is tired, says Michelle. Although he is still waiting for his chance to come off the bench in this matchup. After losing to even Fiji, have Australians improved dramatically, or South Africa has a weaker team? I think that it's probably more so Australia have improved, to be honest. Like, South Africa haven't been their best throughout the first 2 matches of the Rugby Championship, and I think that is down to the way that, you know, they're trying to find that cohesion and find that perfect pairing, or perfect 15, really. Oh, Oxenshire through the middle. He manages to get the ball off the rolling maul of Australia, and that ball's going to end up on the side of the South Africans. Pops out the back. Grant Williams goes across. Andre Pollard. Dialendi decides to run this one into his teammate Marco van Staden, and it's a penalty for obstruction. A lifeline for Australia. Now, over there, Hamish, did you wash the t-shirt since last Sunday? New tie, though? I did indeed wash it, but yeah, new tie because last one got a lot of stick. So I decided to switch it to something else. Call me Dave. Theatre of the Mind. Thanks for the running commentary, Tar again. Says Dave there. This one's kicked in a touch. 42 metres out from their line. Australia will have themselves the line out, but Oxenshire just going straight through the middle. Johannes, don't know, thanks. At work and listening to you, so hopefully work is flying by. Hopefully you're not too far away from finishing up. And going to finish Australia off now. And last week was a fluke. Says Marcel. Now line out throw. Australia claiming it at the front of the rolling maul. McWright going off to Rob Valentini. Moves up to the halfway line. A big carry from the number 8. McDermott rolling this one back. It looks like Australia are going to try another aerial kick. Max Jorgensen going after it. He will run for Cheslin Colby, unable to take it. Clean knock on from the Springboks. McDermott off to the left-hand side under knock-on advantage. James O'Connor looking for that next pass, but again it's Lindy. The way he's been able to run up and shut down that back line. McDermott tries to pick and go offloads to O'Connor, who actually played that ball on the ground. Still under the knock-on advantage. Hooper with the little pass back. Good hands from Tane Ahmed out to Corey Toole, who steps inwards, and a great tackle from Ruan Nokia to stop the move. Callaway went short side. Taniela Tupou was out on the wing and wasn't quite ready for it. It will now be the line out for South Africa. The Aussies hasn't played good rugby for a few years. Good to see they back, says Jason. And number 6 with a silly mistake again. Says Chuck D, I assume you're talking about Marco van Staden. And yeah, it is a shame because he's done so much right in the breakdowns throughout this game, but he has given away, I believe, 2 or 3 penalties now as the count. Malcolm Marks throw it into Argus Neyman inside of their own 22. Big run from van Staden. Now, rolling this one back. I think this will be considered as taken back for Grant Williams. Now, that was no fluke, says Jeff J. Almost charged down by Nick Frost. Doesn't get a huge amount of distance on it, but Argus Neyman, another knock on from him. Wait. Knocked on by Australia. I think Fraser McWright's saying, no, that was Argus Neyman who knocked it on. We're going to see the replay now. Yeah, I have no idea how he can call that as a knock-on against Australia. In fact, there's 2 knock-ons from South Africa before any sign of Australia touching the ball. And now all couple changes here. Argus Neyman and Ruan Nokia making their way off. That will be for Eben Etzebeth and Lud Diacha. That was a knock-on, clear as day. And also Australia pulled a Japan plan. And go the box cheating call, says Sensei there. And score says Kaylee at the moment. The score is still 20 points to 10. Okay, James Dolman has just corrected it. Or has he? No, he's saying Australia knocked that one on first. Australia never touched that ball, did they? Or am I seeing things? I swear that was just a clear knock-on from Argus Neyman, then from Moody. Is this going to be... Okay, no, sorry. Now they've given the ball to Australia as they realise there was the first knock-on. He changed it, says Chuck T. Out of your miss Argia. And also we have there these New Zealand refs need to go to Specsavers. And from a South African, great channel and great commentary, very objective. Great to see the Wallabies doing well. They must get you to replace the great Grant Nisbet one day, says Dan. Greatly appreciated for your kind words. That'll kick him behind here. James O'Connor looking for space. Kane and Moody with the mistake. Jorgensen picks up the ball. And Australia get themselves another try off again. A South African defensive mistake. It's just happening too often at the moment for a side who are normally so clinical at the back. There just seems to be so much miscommunication. And Jorgensen, he will score himself his 6th international career try. That man hasn't got too many caps at all. But we're going to see it here. South Africa, they rushed up initially. James O'Connor, Kane and Moody went across to cover, drops that ball, and it just sits up for Jorgensen, who will get not many tries easier than that one. Big time recovery, says Daniel. And we have got there as well, whoop whoop. Says Pepe there, and also we have got there, this is not our world champion box suck, says WJ, says JW, James O'Connor experience. Yeah, he saw that gap in behind. We are missing Villy, says RJJ. And not great from the box, says Kevin, but this gets Australia straight back into the game. And that kick has gone over 20 points to 17 now. And WDF Kanan says Viv B. And that's the thing. When you look through at the guys who are making the mistakes, Kane and Moody up till this point has been very strong in this game. He's scored himself a try, and alongside that also has won the aerial battle anytime that it's been called upon for him. But then this happens, and it's just really confusing. But, I see Jeremy Williams. He's made his way onto the field. That is for the big man, Will Skelton, as the bomb squad on. They did make the change of Eben Etzebeth and Ludiacha. I believe those are the only 2 changes off the bench so far for the South Africans. That one's going to be close to the sideline. Bouncing awkwardly, Corey Toole doesn't quite take it cleanly, but he's ripped it away now for the Australians. McDermott with a counter-attack. James O'Connor looking deep and looking for a 50-22, but Cheslin Colby is back there and ready to go, but he kicks it downfield. Maybe you haven't seen that much of Cheslin Colby's running game throughout this game. Looking for the offload was James O'Connor. That ball will be kicked downfield from McDermott, or goes into touch. And it is a Springbok line out now, 25 metres out from the line. How much time left? Still another 32 minutes remaining in this one. Come on, the bomb squad. Says Shailene. Or Shalani, I should say, sorry. And also we have the New Zealand still waiting. Are we so cooked, judging by how we are playing today? Says Kathy, and Springboks must make changes and sponsor the box to a game of a putt-putt. Maybe they will do better. Well, that's the thing. Like, the problem that they've got is, so far, let's say 50 minutes has passed. I know it's like 49, but 50 minutes has passed. The Springboks have been solid for probably about 47 of those minutes, but it's those 3 minutes and the counter-attack of Australia that keep on getting them back into this game. Score, please, at the moment is 20 points to 17, the way that it sits currently. We have got there, Amish, your prediction looks on the money. Yeah, 30. Oh, yeah, nah, James O'Connor's knee got bent the wrong way when Cheslin Colby made the tackle on him there. Looks like he's going to try and continue in this game, though we are winning. Says Prime Glitch. And come on the box. Says Adumisani. And there as well. Moments of self-destruction, exactly. 90% of the game, they've been looking in control. That's a rough line out, but it's gone over the top and finds Grant Williams. So a little bit of luck there for the South Africans too. Cheslin Colby running the ball up 22 metres out from the try line. Here's Ludiacha. Keeping an eye on Eben Etzebeth, his teammate, of course, all told to get out of there. Does well, Jeremy Williams. In terms of the listening skills, Williams now going back across to the left-hand side. Cheslin Colby takes that ball down the wing. Tate McDermott puts his arms out wide like he was shepherding sheep. Williams back across to Oxenshire. Short ball to Eben Etzebeth. 3 offloads for that man last week. Was channeling his inner Arges Neyman, but now has replaced him in this contest. Thomas Detoy wrestled down 22 metres out from the line. Here comes Eben Etzebeth. First offload coming for that man. Gets the ball into the hands of the number 20 in this contest, which is Ludiacha. 10 metres out from the line for South Africa. Knock on from Eben Etzebeth. And they'll go back now for the scrum to Australia. But again, on attack, 10 metres out from the line. All you need is that last pass, but the drop ball from South Africa hurting them again. We have got that as what rugby is supposed to be, says Jerome. Yeah, just knocked on by Eben Etzebeth. Well, your pronunciation of the South African players is incredible, says Stephen. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And also hats off to the Australians playing better rugby and shepherding Amish. That was gold. And good game, says the AI in there as well. Make us proud, Bok, says Rachel. Now 30 minutes remaining on the clock. This game's going to once again be a little bit close by the looks of it. I have to say South Africa looked like the more structured team, but Australia, their unpredictability is what is keeping them well and truly in the hunt for this contest. I will mention as well, anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated you all being here for this match. We are currently only 800 away from that 70,000 mark. We have there, why are the dodgy Kiwis covering this game? Are you talking about me or are you talking about the referees in this case? But there's going to be another knock on there from the South Africans sitting about 12 metres out from the try line. Tate McDermott passing across to Angus Bell. He had a decent impact off the bench last week. Good game, says Bulilani. Yeah, it's been close. It's been physical. Both of the sides have had their fair share of injuries yet again. You, mate, says Gavan. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know we've covered probably more South African games than most South Africans have. So all you got to do is look at the channel and see we've covered every single game for the box since about 2020. Oh, nice run from Cheslin Colby. Grant Williams going off to the right-hand side. Thomas Detoy, Pollard with the ball. Moody knocks it on again. The hands have fallen apart for the South Africans, and it just seems to be time and time again that the mistakes are coming. We have got there the box are Bambies today, says Kevin there. It's Andre Pollard still on. He is indeed already 17, says Carlin. Yep, the early try for South Africa, for Australia coming. in the second half. And we have got there, no, says Bob. Lol watching Sky Sport, but with your commentary, says Gideon there. And not again, says Lumka. And even Moody is getting old. Moody's only like 24, isn't he? Still got a bit of time left. Zane Ngor making his way on. That will be for Taniela Tupou. And South Africans are pretty poor right now. For real. The thing is, though, I think they can still win this game. Like, I don't think there's any denying that they've still got enough left in the tank. No, I am leaving the box, says Jordan there. And Kanan must get off, says Martin. And please replace Kanan Moody, says Kyle. So they have only got Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu as that. Or Esterhazen, if they want to put maybe Creel out to the wing as an option. That's a lot of power in the midfield, though, with Dialendi and Esterhazen as those two players there. Now Tate McDermott goes across to Tane Edmed O'Connor. On the outside, Andrew Callaway again will look to kick it downfield. They try and avoid Chisel and Colby, but he's found the ball quite a bit throughout this game. This time it goes to Apalele Fasi. Cross kick. Going high, awkward one, slapped back by Mostert. Now Itzebeth jumping onto it, bumps off Billy Pollard, bumps off Zane Ngor, 2 in a row for the big Springboks veteran. And I bring the line Bok. And also we have got there, you can do this, I believe in you, says Nafarsia. Now O'Connor, back across Tate McDermott. Still another 26 minutes remaining. Corey Toole getting the draw and pass going. That was not the right time to go for the kick there from Len Ikitau. He's not known for his kicking, nor will he be after this game either. Creel is the captain. He can't go to the wing, too far away to motivate the team, says Duncan. Yes, so I guess the change for Moody has to be Esterhazen then in that case, or Reinach. Off the bench, perhaps you could put him out there. Or Grant Williams, just move him across and put Reinach into 9. They were going to take him off. Big run from Oxenshire. 30 metres out from the line now for the box. Eben Itzebeth. And that little bit closer. They will need another try. They need 3 more to get the bonus point. Cross kick from Pollard. It wasn't on. And the mark taken by Corey Toole. Uncontested for that one. And come on the Bockies. Says Megan Crow. And there as well. Now, ready to hit that one downfield for Corey Toole. We have there come on the box. Says Cabella there and Quaka. And how much time left? Says Sal. Still another 25 minutes remaining. Right, Sasha's making his way on. That looks like it might be for Apalele Fasi, who is going to be taken off here. So Kane and Moody is off. So they are going to have that big reshuffle now. Maybe Fasi goes to the wing or Sasha. I'm looking around. Who's moving where? It looks like Fasi's moved to the wing. Maybe. I could be wrong. Kicking the ball away instead of putting Colby in space, says Westside. And Colby himself has been a little bit of a culprit of that. He's kicked the ball away probably 3 times when he's had possession. And I don't know whether or not that's just the tactics of trying to force them further back. Oh, drop ball. But the penalty will be awarded to the South Africans. Dialendi. Uncharacteristic mistake there from him. By the way, Moody is 22 rather than 24. And 20 points to 27 in favour of the Australians, says Steve. And Bok is about to come last in this championship. Useless team, says DB. And also the All Blacks are going to smash us, says Lock in there. Number 12 is offside. So that's Len Ikitau with the big surprised face going, what, me? Yes, you. It looks like an easy 3-pointer. At least it should be easy for Andre Pollard, normally known for his conversions. See whether or not can get it right here. We have got Bok, says Darren, and also tie that kangaroo down, Bok. And also Fasi, great player, but doesn't yet bring that structure to the back 3, says RJJ. Yeah, just a mistake again when it came to that back line. South African flags from Mary. What channel on TV? 201, 211, I believe, are the two there. And keep that kangaroo on a tight leash, box, says Kathy. A 4 from 4 at the moment for Andre Pollard. Kicking at 100% accuracy. This to make it 5 from 5 and a 6-point lead. Straight down the middle. You would expect nothing less from Andre Pollard. Making the score now 23 points to 17. Gets a little bit closer. And come on, boys. Says Dylan there. And also Springboks need to calm down and think before doing. And Sasha Feinberg potentially scares me as an All Blacks fan, says King. And also Sasha make the magic, says Jordan I, says Bob. Welcome in. Kicked off now by the Australians. Tane meant to make sure that this one does not go out on the forward run from Quagga Smith. Springboks clean out in the breakdown. Maybe it's not just water in their bottle, says Sai. It is. But I've only gone to it once, to be fair, so it could be anything. Eben Etzebeth chasing after this one. He's done so well under the high ball. Knock on from Callaway. Now counter-attack. Grant Williams showing up the pace. Inside border. Pollard who tries to run and is tackled round halfway. Ball pops out to Williams again under pressure from Zain Ungor. Quagga Smith has to play half. Come on, South Africa, says Tiana in there. Making a couple extra metres. Keep rolling. Says Jeff J. A little bit of a counter-ruck from Rob Valentini. Told to use a Pollard round halfway. We'll kick it once again high. Fussy going after it. Oh, what a take that is from Tane Edmed, the youngster. Australia again have got themselves the ball 58 minutes through. Big run on Bell. How long have they been playing? They've been playing for 58 minutes at the moment. So still a little bit more time remaining in this contest. McDermott, cross now to Tom Hooper and behind it. James O'Connor shows off his stepping again. That's off the hand of Dialendi, but picked up by Callaway. Bit of extra pressure from Ludiacha in the breakdown. McDermott again just trying to set this back line. Being told to use it again. All short side of Rob Valentini. He wasn't even anticipating that pass. I didn't know how to feel about how South Africa have been playing lately, says Maverick. And tied Australia, says Jimbo. Yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more laboured for both of these sides. Need to regroup. Structures failing, says Will. Now, nice take from Sasha Famu. Zulu tried to round the back pass. It's a little bit of a risky time to be doing that, but it will be the line out now for the Australians after the ball bounced off Marco van Staden. I usually just put an ad on about why Australia universities are the best, says Sayur. South Africa behind your box, says Busy B. Yeah, currently a very close fixture. Tony Brown, nervous for the last 20 minutes or so. But the crowd, they are still in high hopes of South Africa playing wider than usual this year, says the Big V8 show. They were also, when we looked through at the stats, they're playing a lot more risky rugby in terms of the amount of offloads that they're trying. 14 throughout that first game, whereas all throughout last year's Rugby Championship, they did only do a total of 26, I believe it was, in terms of that offload number. Now, Grant Williams, again, they will kick high. This is something that we haven't seen too much of from last week's game. Oh, Cheslin Colby goes up for a knock-on by Oxenshare. They've called it backwards. It went forward off Ox, so it's going to be play on, though, just for now until they check it. Marco van Staden throws it out the back to Malcolm Marks. Now, Leonard Cattell trying to get that steal in the breakdown. Left-hand side again. Sasha Famu Zulu with some quick stepping feet, but McWright and Valentini get him down. Oh, they will go back for the initial knock-on from Australia. Nice. Says it's silent there, and we're still in front, says Alex, and another knock-on. There's been a lot of them throughout this match. Okay, live read is actually Oxenshare knock-on, so they are going to go back and give Australia the scrum. That is about the second or third time that has happened in this game, that he has ruled it a scrum in favour of South Africa. We have got their mark still on, says Jimbo. He is, but I'm not sure for how much longer. Last 20 minutes, I feel like this is where we could see the front row replacements, definitely with the knock-on from Oxenshare just then. Now, any more changes? Looks like both sides pretty happy at the moment to not make too many more switches. Australia can't make any more switches when it comes to their backs, already all on at half-time. In fact, one of them already on after only a couple minutes. They're just showing there Oxenshare, first game for him as a Springbok vice-captain. Big chance for the Big Ox. The big lads are tired, says Big Riggy. It does seem like it's getting a little bit more laboured for both of these sides now. That ref is Dodge is. And also Reed is doing a good job, says Chuck T. And also just finished Graft. Piers tense on the scoreboard. Yeah, only 6 points difference. Copus Reinach. He will make his way on. Who is that for? Is it Grant Williams? It is. Grant Williams didn't think he was coming off. He was talking to Reinach as if to say, okay, what's our new tactic? But no, he will be taken off the field here, Grant Williams. Looks like he's got a bit of a limp as well here, Williams. Maybe just a bit stiff after the 60 minutes. That's going to be another scrum reset, 22 metres out from their own line here. Australia got themselves that scrum feed. Things have not gone well for the Box since the Barbars. Says Mpo there. And also Go Australia AB's fan here says Sensei. And of course, the All Blacks going to be in action up against the Pumas just around the corner. We are covering that game on the channel too. Anyone who is new, sure to hit that subscribe button. And we hope the Australia will win again. No chance for the Box. I wouldn't guarantee that. If South Africa get themselves one more try, I think they will win. As I don't think there'd be enough time for Australia to come back. But if South Africa don't score another try here, that's where the danger could come from. Williams played well, good pace in this play. Vice captain, I wouldn't even let him rake my leaves. That's pretty rough, Bruce. I think that Oxnechet would do a great job. And he's got that kind of leading from the front quality about him, not just in the scrum too, seeing as he is literally the front line. Anybody's game now. And they must stop the game, a play by Australia. They must push forward and make tries. And also, what's the time? How many minutes left? Still another 18 minutes remaining. Nearly 13,000 votes. It's been a hectic stream, I will say that, and it is all down to you guys being here. It is greatly appreciated. Australia only missing the 13 tackles compared to South Africa's 21, I believe it was. But Tane Edmed, 22 metres out. Australia going to run it from their own line. Callaway. Jesse Krill makes the tackle alongside Damien Dialendi. No sign of Andre Easthuizen as of yet, but there is a chance he could come on the field for Mako van Staden in this one. And we have got the Love This. Where'd that go? That was from Anita, like listening to the game on the wireless, like the good old days. Kicked high from Australia, knock on from Max Jorgensen, but claimed by Quaka Smith. Another tackle, made low by Angus Bell. Cobus Reiner going off to the left-hand side. Jesse Krill goes to Sasha Feinberg. Zulu tries to grab her in behind, but James O'Connor is ready for it, and he gets two-man tackled afterwards. Almost jumping off the feet there from Billy Pollard. Ref says they were rolling away. Oxenshare looked for the steal again. McDermott told to use it, but the Box are still getting in those breakdowns, trying to work a penalty in their favour for the not release. Jorgensen gets another crack at going up for this up against Apalele Fasi, and that's two now in a row that Jorgensen hasn't taken cleanly. Normally pretty safe under a high ball. Reinach back across to the right hand side, finds Ludiacha, tackled by Hooper. 17 minutes left now on the clock, and it's kicked high by Andre Pollard. So that'll be the penalty, knock-on advantage over. Big collision in the air. Iketel offloads to Corey Toole, spins out of Colby's tackle. This is a huge amount of space for the 7 superstar. Chips it in behind. Doesn't get the bounce of the ball. I think it's going to be play on. Fussy gets in there. Was there a release of the ball? It's going to be Reinachs now for the South Africans. Counter-attack. Sasha dragged down and straight in there McDermott. They'll go back for a knock-on. Hectic. In that one, I was about to pass out from a lack of oxygen. These boys need to settle down a little bit. We've still got 15 or 16 minutes left. And Jeepers says Naz Williams. Yeah, almost a brilliant bit of work from Corey Toole. Turned into a great steal for Apalele Fasi on the ground to be able to get that turnover. Wilco Lowe's on the field for Thomas Tatoy. Brandon Payanga Mosa, he's on the field for Billy Pollard. Is it raining hard? It didn't rain at all for this game, which is absolutely awesome. And hectic. And Bockies, you can do this. Says Megan. And there as well. And Hamish, your clock froze. One moment, we'll shake our mouse a little bit. There we go. And we have got there, great tie, Hamish, but your shirt is doing my head in, says Glenn Sell. Is it the pattern on it or just the colour of it? My pants nearly became a toilet right then, says Pepe. And South Africa having heart attacks. I think both of these sides, their supporters will be extremely nervous. I'm nervous and I'm impartial in this one. 10 metres out from the line. Big scrum coming here, I have a feeling, from South Africa because they will want to work that penalty in their favour. The heat is on. And fair play, Hamish, you are the dogs. Bollocks of commentators. Says Jason. A big scrum, holding steady, trying to move around a little bit. They're being told to use it now. Reinach will have to kick it himself. Comes off the slightly side of his boot, so about 40 metres out from the line. Again, Australia will have themselves the line out. We have got there Hamish with his manager's bank shirt on, says Darren. And also we have got there, can you call out more metres from the goal? So we have an idea of field positions as we go, please. Great job, loving it, says Andrew. So we will try our best. 40 metres out from the line here for the Australians with the line out. And game this neck and neck. Yeah, it's a crazy type of contest because these two games have been so competitive. You can see how Kiwi Lads logo ties soon. Maybe. Get a little, what's it called? The one that you put on your wrist? The the clip thing. Can't think of the name of it. Someone will tell me what they're called. Now, Tate McDermott, 40 metres away from the line. Zainungor with his first real carry chance. Rob Valentini sells the dummy, almost bumped off Malcolm Marks. McDermott back across to Hooper. Flat ball to Zainungor. Big contact in every single collision. Cufflinks, they're the ones. Now, Ikitau, flat run, Quaka. Smith dumps him down on the turf. Valentini, pick and go again. He's had a good work rate throughout this game. McDermott finds Angus Bell, still the 6 points separating these two sides. There's an advantage for offside against South Africa. Ikitau now trying to get through Franco Mostert. Oh, that's a guillotine almost from Cobus Rhino. That's one that DDP would have even been happy with. Now McDermott off to Angus Bell. Does end up falling over his teammate. Let it come in the big adult voice from James Dorman, still yelling at South Africa to get out of that breakdown. Tom Hooper, good tackle from Quaka. He's had a great game in the number 8 jersey, definitely because he was anticipating coming off the bench instead of starting. Tane Edmed, huge shot on him. They'll go back now for the penalty though. Why so few scrums and mauls? I think the thing is there's been a lot of knock-ons, but a lot of the time the scrums have been not really one-sided. Like both sides, when they have a scrum, the ball goes in, the ball goes out. That's about it. You know, we haven't seen too many penalty advantage. I think we saw one early on for South Africa, but other than that, we haven't seen that many whatsoever. But Australia now, a big decision to make. They are kicking for the corner here, ladies and gentlemen. Time so far, 67 minutes through. Can they now score and possibly take the lead? Here comes Andre Esterhuizen on for Franco Mostert. So he is playing now as a 7 here, Andre Esterhuizen, for the end of this game. And thank you very much, says Elvis. And come on, Australia, 1 try, says Leon, although I don't know whether 1 try will be enough, but it would certainly be a good start. In this scenario, go the box, says Yako. And their 2 Aussies refusing. Their 4th kick at goal, says Jimbo, and it could cost them. But at the same time, I do think they want to stay in the South African half. Who's got the territory? I think it's still South Africa, about 60-40, I would call it. Although it's getting better in the second half here for the Australians, going into Rob Valentini. Almost got played in the air by Ludiacha, but rolling more. Australia really do need to get this ball out because it is risky keeping it in there when South Africa is so dangerous with stealing that ball 1 metre short of the try line. Advantage there for dragging it down. And there's a try scored by Australia. The grounding for Brandon Paanga Amosa. I think they might check it. It might be a yellow card here too for Ludiacha. Sorry, my brain stopped working there for a second. I was just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they say. That's normally how you describe a rabbit. But Brandon Paanga Mosa just short and then reaches out, touches it on the try line. I'm not 100% sure whether or not there was a yellow card there, ladies and gents. We'll wait to find out. And yes, says Andrew there. And 2 tries box confirmed, says Cohen in there. Change of name there for Kiwi Rob, it would seem. Right, they're just checking this grounding. It's given. It's on the line. The crowd are booing. Whether or not there was a knock on, sounds like they've checked it and it's cleared. James O'Connor doesn't strike that one. The nicest, he misses it from pretty much straight out in front. James O'Connor has hit it away to the side. And now they are still behind by 1 point here for Australia. Effing hell, says Jason. Tell you what, I'm nervous. My heart is racing at the moment, and I'm not from either of these nations. So I am sure there will be a lot of nervousness for the final 10 minutes, but inside of their own 22 here, Australia trying to work their way forward. How'd they miss? I have no idea. James O'Connor, he struck the ball quite nicely today, tried to keep it low. I believe Sasha close to the sideline. His foot was on the sideline. But it's going to be play on for now. Is it going to be checked? Andre Pollard, open space, passes to Dialende. Creel now with the ball to Fassi, who knocks it on. That's been the summary of this game for South Africa. Every chance they can attack, every time they drop the ball. And Australia again have themselves the scrum. Andre Pollard, so much open space there. And then just the pass on the outside to Fassi. You got to catch that. 9 times out of 10, that goes to hand. And probably about 5 times out of 10, you score it from there. Missing from Are in front, says Floyd Kingy. And how was that not seen by the touch judge? I thought it... Oh, hang on. The flag is actually up. They have now gone back for it, I think. Yeah, so it is going to be Australia's line-out. There's been a lot missed in this game, whereas the scrum, no longer a scrum, a line-out because Sasha Feinberg was over the sideline. We're going to see the replay here of Ngome Zulu. They get tackled by Corey Toole. Oh, tell you what, it was close. That one, it didn't make it look as clear as it being out. Oh, no, there it is, the foot on the line. So they are going to go back for it. So Australia have got themselves the line-out. And also knock on, knock on, knock on. That's literally the summary of the second half for South Africa. And every time that they do that, they give Australia just that little bit more of a sniff of getting back into this game. Nicely taken by Nick Frost. McDermott goes to O'Connor. Edmed in behind Corey Toole. Rush defense from Creel, misses the tackle. Andre Esterhuizen manages to make it Bohan Fenta. He's made his way onto the field. Callaway with a skip pass out wide to Tom Hooper. Bit of space now. Again, Colby is flattened, but he is held strong and managed to stop the attack and play. Angus Bell bumps off Bohan Fenta for his first touch, or at least first moment of the contest. Is so late for going back to the line-out. It was almost like last week's mistake, says Leon. Now going off to the left-hand side. Zane Ngor on the halfway line. McDermott looks like he's gone like this, which means he's setting it up high. See whether or not Australia can win that territory game. These games are fixed for sure, says Paul. And now kicked high, Corey Toole, charging onto it, slaps it back, but it's taken by Sasha Feinberg. Ngome Zulu goes to Kobus Reinach, who will go in behind James O'Connor, having a chase after it. He's got Sasha with him, but that was a very favourable bounce for O'Connor. Knock on from Andrew Callaway, 10 metres out from the line. And they'll go back now for the scrum. I thought O'Connor may have cleared it himself, but he passed it across. That could be the moment that South Africa needed. The mistake from Callaway, who apart from that one, it's been pretty solid throughout the day, just dipped on him late, snuck through the fingers as he was looking up to see who was fast approaching. And now you can see the frustration in the coaching box. You can see the disappointment. They know that that might have just been the huge moment that could lose them this game. Field position, please. South Africa will be 12 metres out from the Australian line. And try Bok, please, says Viv B. Does Callaway want a hiding, says Goen. And also Ish Bok, says Benjamin there. And consolidate Bok basics and do it right, says Marius. And also Bok need to wake up and play South Africa rugby and not street rugby, says Roxy. And the thing is, if South Africa are able to get themselves a converted try here, from here, and if they win with that scoreline, that would actually get them in a position of taking away a bonus point from the Australians for being within 7. Always the second half, says Carlin. Tackles made, Fraser McWright once again leading the charge. Dialendi has 11. Quacker Smith has 11. And then Oxenshire was the third, but now scrum feed. Big push from the box and an advantage now in their favour. Reinach goes across to Damien Dialendi. This is where Australia really have to dig deep with their defence. Bohan Fenta cuts towards the line. It's an easy 3 if South Africa want it, but they might consider the corner if they don't score now. Pollard, Reinach, what's he going to do? He goes himself. He'll be 1 metre short, and in the breakdown, Tom Hooper, I think he almost needed to just try and hang on to that and hope for that penalty. Bohan Fenta, 1 metre short for South Africa. Another pick and go, and Australia defending with everything they've got. Eben Etzebeth, he sees the line. He wants to try, and the big man gets it in the number 19 jersey. A hugely important kick to come here for Andre Pollard, but it is Etzebeth off the bench, the most capped Springbok of all time, who does break the drought for South Africa. Their first try in the second half of the whole Rugby Championship. And it comes in the form of Eben Etzebeth. I've got there, yes, and Cheslin Golby says GML. And yes, says Kyle, but this is now a crucial kick for Andre Pollard. If this misses, it keeps Australia in the game. James O'Connor, he missed his last. Is there starting to be that little bit more pressure? Bok had to fight in this game. They certainly did. Nick Champion to Chris Pigney makes his way onto the field for the Australians. His second game for the Wallabies. But now Pollard. He has been flawless off the tee today. And he continues to be flawless here. 5 minutes remaining and South Africa lead by 8. How's Esterhuizen doing? He's only recently made his way on as a number 7, but he's done all right so far. Had a couple pick and goes and whatnot. Thank you, Bok. Says Natalie. And Aussie's tired. Says Heyman. I think both of these sides are absolutely exhausted, but that was well done by Etzebeth. He saw that little bit of a half sniff for him to be able to go over. And let's see what's happening. Says DML, and also we've got the great stuff. And there too, but nicely taken by Eben Etzebeth again. It's turned into a rolling maul. He throws it in ball or inside and gives the ball straight back to the Australians every time. That South Africa look like they've got this game under control. They decide to give Australia another chance. Massive shot on O'Connor, but Jorgensen cuts through the line round Dialende, who just manages to keep an eye or keep a hand on that leg. McDermott wrestled down. Counter ruck there from Malcolm Marx, who is going to be playing close to the 80 minutes here as Manus van der Merwe yet to make his way onto the field. Malcolm Marx wanted the turn up again. Brandon Paenga-Mosa goes up to James O'Connor. No look past the Edmed, who is smashed by Sasha Feinberg, Ungumezulu, and the penalty goes the way of South Africa. An isolated Edmed and a clinical Cheslin gets the turnover for the Boks. And thank you, Evan, says Cynthia there. And also, come on, Aussies, get that try. And also, no more wins for Aussies this year against the Bok. Says Heyman, well, it will be 1-1 if that is the case. And we'll keep the Rugby Championship wide open for 2025. Marks is going to play the full game today because of your faith it will happen. Says, and it was there from Krishni. And also, we have got there 4 minutes ago. Says today's Destiny's trading. And also, we can blame James O'Connor for this loss. I mean, to be fair, Australia still need to score one more so that you can blame it for that missed kick. But other than that, I think O'Connor has been really strong in that number 10 jersey. TMO has come in. There's a high tackle from 23 Green. That is Sasha Feinberg, Ungumezulu. No longer penalty to Cheslin. Penalty to Australia. We're going to see it here on Tane Edmed. Hits him round the neck. So it's going to go against Sasha there, and Australia still have half a chance. Looks like they will look towards the corner here. And the Boks thriving on officials' decisions. See his west side and from the top rope. And also he's not going to miss. Here's Devandre there, and thanks Hamish. See you for the next one. This ref says Aaron. So that one was the TMO who did call that one for the dangerous tackle. He has been involved a few times throughout this game. And we have got the Bok is really fighting this. Oh, hang on, sorry. They're going for the posts here, the Australians, to try and at least secure that bonus point, worst comes to worst. This is a big one for James O'Connor, definitely after missing the last kick from pretty much this exact same angle. And that's a high. I like the BS call. They called for Colby in the first half. And easy wins, Box struggled, says JW, and very good decision, all or nothing. No, instead they've gone for the 3. I speak a bit more Afrikaans, Hamish. I don't know much more Afrikaans than I've already said. But James O'Connor looking to line this one up. 3 minutes remaining. Can he get it? For the Australians, taking his time. He's missed again, O'Connor. They should have kicked for the corner. Of course, hindsight's a big thing. But twice in a row now, James O'Connor, he's missed one to the left, one to the right. The last 5 minutes, his kicking's been... you can fill in the gap. But 2 minutes remaining in this contest. And currently still the 8 points difference between these two sides. Australia wanting to be within 7. They could have got themselves a try and had a really good shot of being within a couple. And WF on the Bok doing. And also the boys deserve some braai tonight. And also he missed again, says AK. And misfoot is broken. And now it looks like Malcolm Marxie will make his way off the field. So Manus van der Merwe does get 2 minutes at the end of this game. And longest 4 minutes I've ever lived. It's been stressful, although that will be a little bit less stressful now. Due to that missed kick taken by Nick Frost. Australia now limiting their amount of time that they can come back into it. And I forgot about this match catch up now. Says Judy, oh, is that a deliberate knockdown from Apalele Fasi? It's at least playing the ball on the ground. It's going to just be called as a knock on against Fasi. Okay, they just want to make sure that it's nothing more. The clock is still ticking down. James Dolman has not turned it off as of yet. This clock is still going. An extra 30 seconds may pass. Okay, time is now off. They lost an extra 20 or so seconds there. It's a yellow card for Apalele Fasi. Could this have been a miracle? Wallabies win, but James O'Connor choked. Although, even with those 6 points, they would still be down by... with those 5 points, they'd still be down by a little bit at this point. Right. What's the call now? James O'Connor. He's going to take on... Wait. Are they pointing at the corner? No, they're pointing at the post. James O'Connor go for his third in a row here. This will once again have the potential of securing a bonus point for the Australians, or it will just ruin the confidence of JOC. This ref is not the best, says Big Rig. There's been a lot of decisions that have taken longer to get to than normal in this contest. And thanks so much for the game. What time is the next game between New Zealand and Argentina? It is kicking off in 4 hours' time. So roughly there is when that one will be starting. How far out? It's 48 metres for James O'Connor. He has got that one. No, it's short. He hasn't got the distance. That one was going straight down the middle, but it dropped at the last moment. 0 from 3 for James O'Connor. Looks like Australia are going to take this one quickly. They're going to look for the try because they know James O'Connor's not kicking nothing in the last little while. Australia, they need that 1 point. I don't know what McDermott's doing there. He's tried to go for the kick in behind, and it's taken and knocked on by Australia. South Africa now with Andre Estes and 9 seconds remaining in this one. There was already the advantage at scrum time, and South Africa now can put the nail in the coffin and get themselves a big win at Cape Town Stadium. You can see the disappointment on the Australians' face. They had that game right there for the taking, but they couldn't finish the job. They caught what the Boks had in that first 20 minutes with knock-ons and the little mistakes. And South Africa, as far as they've had to dig for this game, they have looked a lot more composed since Etzebeth made his way onto the field. Esterhuizen's looked not too bad off the bench as well. I just feel like maybe in this contest, those couple changes at the right time could have made the difference here. Wow, that's a surprise. Lutiaga has only won 3 of his last 10 test matches up against Australia, so 1 more in the good books for that man. We have got there how many more minutes? Says Azra, we've got 10 seconds remaining at this point in time. So just a little bit more remaining before the end of this contest. South Africa, if they get themselves the advantage, they might look to kick for the corner. But at the same time, I do think they might just look to say, right, it's happened. We'll get that ball out. Oh, neck roll. Penalty, neck roll in favour of South Africa. So Andre Pollard, he can take the 3 points here and they can call it a day. Pollard saying, let's go for the corner. Let's strike him one more time. And that is the mentality now of South Africa coming out. They can't get the bonus point from it, but it's a very good kick from Andre Pollard. They're trying to increase their points differential. First game, they did lose by 16. This game, they could win by 15, putting both sides pretty much back to that 1-1 points differential heading into the next rounds. We have got there. Thanks for the win, boys, says Michelle, and Pollard is the GOAT, says Silent Wolfie. The question is Pollard now the 10? For those matches up against New Zealand? If you like kicks going over, a lot of people would say yes. Loose ball. Australia now has a chance. It's knocked on, though, by the Aussies. So now Huaka Smith going back across to the side. Fun with Soup has become a member. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. 5 metres out from the line here for South Africa. Zayn and Gore trying to get in the breakdown. Kobus Reiner skip past. Terrible one from Eben Etzebeth. It goes low under Creel. And that will be the end of this contest. The thing is, though, whether it was by 8 or 50, the point still remains that South Africa do not allow Australia to get a bonus point here. They will secure 4 points. They will get their first win of the Rugby Championship, and they will go into that next game up against New Zealand with a little bit of momentum. But still, I think that a lot of people would agree this was not the performance that Rassie or South Africa would have wanted from this game. You were close enough, South Africa by 8, close enough to 10. Yeah, I did go 32-22 as my score prediction, so I actually got pretty close. Like, I'll claim that. About as close as we will get for this Rugby Championship. I'm glad I didn't go with a random score then, because or else I would have absolutely butchered it. But Pollard kept on kicking them over. That was a big difference there. We have got there, the mighty All Blacks are rolling into down, says Elvis. We have got there as well, the team is aging, says Chuck D. I went 37 points for South Africa, 23 for the Australians. Favourite try? I don't think we had any absolutely electric tries in this one. Like, there was more so mistakes, wasn't it? Like, I'd say the Moody try wasn't too bad, just because it was off a cross kick. Like, that's a decent try to get. It was a bad performance on South Africa's part. Says it was there from Uck. Great commentary. And also fun with soap. You robbed a win in a game. You didn't deserve to win. Okay, no, I was confused by that. I was like, all he did was become a member with his soap, but I obviously missed one. We have got there, Hamish, thank you very much. Thank you for your dedication and your constipations. Says Pepe in there as well. My box are looking flat. Are we too old? Says LB. To be fair, though, some of the older players were the ones who helped get them to where they needed to be. Eben Etzebeth, his last try changed the momentum of this game. And, geez, it was all-out action throughout that last 15 minutes or so. I think South Africa can hold their heads pretty high from what they've been able to do throughout this Rugby Championship up till now. Beating South Africa in South Africa and then being 8 points behind. The thing that would have helped them was that one bonus point, though. And I do think that could be the difference between finishing one ranking above and one ranking below as we head into the near future. But, honestly, hectic game, but fantastic to watch. There's still another game of the Rugby Championship just around the corner too. That will be the matchup taking place between Australia and, I keep on saying Australia, but Argentina and New Zealand. I'll have a beer for you, Hamish, says Steve. Much appreciated. And thank you, boys. Keep on. God bless you. Says, where did it go? Sivuyali, I believe it is. And how many kicking chances do you need, James O'Connor? Yeah, missed the last 3. So couldn't secure that bonus point. What does this mean on the world rankings? That is a fantastic question. And I will tell you right now, world rankings at the moment, it means that South Africa go back. Wait, hang on. I need to change the result of that one. South Africa back to number 2 in the world. They have gone above Ireland, who do drop into the number 3 spot. And then alongside that, at this point in time, New Zealand are still first, but it still remains. If we see Argentina beat New Zealand by 16 or more, South Africa have their number 1 ranking back. So, of course, be sure to keep an eye out for that one. It is quite a late start for you guys in South Africa, 11:10 p.m. But we are going to be covering it on the channel with a nice big build-up too. Nick White and Suali'i, Hamish. That try taken away, not too bad, eh? Says the AI. And the fact that they lost Tom Wright in the first 3 minutes of this game, a player who really controlled that second half for them in the last match. You could see that right away there was a little bit of confusion, but it was that drop ball from Callaway just out from the try line that really hurt them. That then led to that try for South Africa. Pollard will improve his attacking game at the Bulls under Ackerman. And the thing is as well, Grant Williams I feel like is a nice mix for Handré Pollard, because when you've got Grant Williams, you've got that attacking threat from your 9. Whereas when you've got Pollard at 10, you've got that safety and stability of the kicks in behind if needed. Hamish is still number 1 ranking in commentary. Says Namo, I think this isn't a terrible result. Yeah, I think Australia will well and truly take it. It's just they would have loved that bonus point as well on top of it. Thank you for the commentary. First time listening to you, says Gavin. And there as well. But yeah, it is greatly appreciated you tuning in. Is that the same Gavin who told me that what was the comment earlier on about me not being able to do these games because I'm from New Zealand? We have got the Australia snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, says John. How the heck is New Zealand first? They've had a really bad season. Have they? They have still won every game though, to be fair to them. So I think that helps a little bit. As soon as one of the top sides lose a game, it pretty much drastically drops them. Definitely if you lose it by 16 or anything higher than 16, it does just really well and truly plummet you. We have got there, thanks Hamish, nice objective commentating, says Olivia. And also we have got there, DePollard missed today. He did not. He got every single kick over throughout this one. And thanks Hamish, I love your commentary, says Jenny. Thank you very much, greatly appreciated. Struggle to win against 6-rated Aussies. Our All Blacks will tear them apart next month. Says Miranda, I don't think the Kiwis will be getting too confident heading into the game because the thing is, South Africa, by their standards, and this is nothing against South Africa at all, but by their standards, they would say that these have been 2 poor games from the box. So if they can sort that out, head into New Zealand as a revitalised side and a determined team, she'll be quite the battle at Eden Park. That is for sure. We got a new member as well. Devon, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And Australia are still ahead on the Rugby Championship ladder because of the last bonus point. Correct, yes. So Australia have 5 points and South Africa do have 4 due to the 3 or more tries not being achieved by South Africa here. We are good there. Thank you, Amish. Says Benito. No worries at all. Top commentary, mate. Better than watching it, I reckon, bro. Says Bacon. And we are going to be back for that Argentina match just around the corner too. So be sure to check that one out. What time you start in streaming? We are starting at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So we've got the hour 10 build-up for that game as well. New Zealand will turn the South Africa into mincemeat, says Zizan. And also thanks, Amish and all. And also great score, says Ricardo. And thanks for your dedication. My mum's struggling with your accent. Thanks for your service. Yeah, sometimes I get a bit excited and I talk a bit quick. And I even struggle to understand myself at times, to be fair. Nokia made an impact. It was all over the field. Yeah, Nokia was solid out there on the field. Ardegas Neyman too, starting at 4, I think made a big difference in terms of those breakdowns and the way that he was kind of enforcing that early physicality. Quagga Smith, I would have loved to see what Jean-Luc Dupré would have done here if it wasn't for the sickness, but I do think Quagga showed that he could be the number 8 in the games up against New Zealand. Thanks, commentator. Thanks, Hamish. You're such a great commentator, says Carl. And there. And also, we have got there, we'll beat the Aussies at cricket, or we beat the Aussies at cricket as well, says Tommy. So, yeah, complete 180 of what we saw last week, where Australia were successful in the rugby and the cricket. This week, we have seen the cricket and the rugby both go the way of South Africa. We have got there, good commentary, well done. Says Deborah, thank you very much. Thanks to the box. Right time now, and what a game. I'm glad we won, but kudos to the Aussies. That gave us a good run, says Zinley. Yeah, I think that it would have been, once again, a very stressful 80 minutes. And at halftime, with the amount of lead that they had, once again, they would have had a little bit of that deja vu feeling, but they did control the second half a little bit better. There were times where they let it slip. It was mainly off mistakes. I mean, that Jorgensen try could have been avoided had it been for Kane Moody claiming that ball. And, even that first one of Corey Toole, it just looked a little bit too easy for Australia to score. But from there, South Africa were a lot more clinical. And they did really enjoy having Damien Dialende as well as Cheslin Colby back. Same with Pollard. I think that those 3 were the difference makers in the team in terms of who missed out from last week and coming back in. Look at there. Thanks so much. Great commentary as always. Can take a quick nap now before the All Blacks game, says Leon. And we snuck that victory. ABs will punish us for those knock-ons. Thank God for Pollard. Farsi and the other fella can stay home, says Josh, and Moody is better at 13. And who was man of the match? I'll have to tell you. I don't actually know. If I'm being honest, we'll have a quick look. Who got the man of the match award? I did see them interviewing Jesse Creel. Did they give it to Jesse Creel, or was it just the fact that he was the captain? I don't actually know. Oh no, Pollard I think got man of the match. There he is. Yep. Andre Pollard did get that award. Won't it be great for the championship if the Boomers win tonight? It would be. 4 sides with 1 win each. Heading into the next round, it would be all to play for. For the Springboks as well, I do feel if New Zealand were to lose to Argentina, that heavily increases their chance of being able to win this Rugby Championship competition. So they will be hoping for that Argentinian upset. Wallabies are back, says Dean Grant. They've been good in these last 2 games. They've actually been much more enjoyable to watch than past years, because the difference is they almost believe now, by the looks of it, that they are a good side. Whereas there was that little patch, and I feel like some Australian supporters can probably attest to this. There was a patch where Australia just didn't look like they enjoyed playing rugby. They were just kind of going through the motions of, making mistakes, losing games back and forth, time and time again. But now, they've got something about them at this current point in time, this Australian team. They've got some young guys. Jorgensen, he fell apart a little bit in that second half or later stages when he wasn't able to take the aerial catches, but Corey Toole, he looked good out there on the field. And you just got a young team that seem a bit more determined than we've seen them in the past. Thanks, Hamish. Make me enjoy the rugby whilst being in Sudan. And also cheers for the Samoa Tonga game yesterday as well. And not a great game for Farsi. He did struggle, although he did have a couple crucial moments, including that steal right on the goal line when Corey Toole broke the line. If it wasn't for Apalele Farsi and his work in that breakdown, Australia would have scored. So yes, he had a couple bad moments too. In fact, you could probably say a couple more than a bad moment. But he also had that absolutely crucial tackle that I think saved South Africa's momentum in that middle patch. And if it wasn't for that one, yes, he got a yellow card at the end, but if it wasn't for that tackle that he made in the turnover, Australia could have had a very different result. Anyone know what happened to Suaalii? No idea. I assume it was just maybe something in a collision or something, but the commentators didn't really mention too much about it. Come on, the Springboks, you'll never beat the All Blacks. I think they've got a great chance. Not if they play as rough as they have in a couple of the moments of these games, but if they can sort out their handling, I think that Pollard's control of the game is more than enough to maybe push New Zealand quite hard in that Eden Park Test match, and I feel like that's a good way of going into it. Neither side should be hugely overconfident, because at the end of the day, sometimes confidence can turn into complacency, and then that's when that hungry underdog push just that little bit more than the others. Time for you to visit us in South Africa. I do want to go to South Africa at some point. Probably in the next couple of years, I would like to make my way over. I'm not really sure what I would do there. Of course, something rugby related would be ideal. But, yeah, I wouldn't mind going to South Africa at some stage. We have got there, go the Bok. And 14 Bok says Driss. And then thinking Hamish have an exciting next game. Who would win it? So my prediction was New Zealand, but Argentina. I mean, if we get all of the teams with one win each heading into the next one, I'd be happy. We have got there, thanks for the commentary, mate. Sorry I was useless company today. The Bok totally spoiled my rugby spirit, says Rianda. It is all good. At the end of the day, there's a lot of tension and there's a lot on the line for these sides. And, you can see the passion coming through in the chat as well. And at the end of the day, rugby, these two sides now out there having a chat. I feel like that perfectly summarises this game. Yes, there's that aggression and there's that passion out there on the field, but afterwards, the two sides just have a chat. At the end of the day, they all are doing what they love to do, and that's playing rugby internationally. If you do something rugby related while travelling, can you write it off as a tax? Or maybe, I guess. I'd have to do some filming as well, I guess. In that regard, you can have 5 wives in South Africa. I can't even find one. So, 5 might be a bit of a rough task. I'm not going to blame it all on James O'Connor, but damn, yeah, at the end of the day, O'Connor didn't have his best day off the kicking tee, but we also have to remember if one of those kicks went over, the other chances possibly weren't going to be there. And knock on the Boks. I'm from South Africa, but let's be honest, the Boks will lose badly against New Zealand, says Jan. I am not underestimating them one bit. I think that they will get better, and I do think that they will have their focus purely on that Eden Park Test match. Some would argue that maybe that's why they weren't their best up against Australia, because of those 2 big ones up against New Zealand a bit later on in the Rugby Championship, or 6. Says Laura there. And also imagine having a whole rugby team of wives. A lot of birthday presents, wouldn't it? For yourself as well as in terms of for them. Dude, that's a little personal. Says Rodeo, and also Rassi is on his way out. Team photo was traditionally taken with the coach. I was taken with Wandele Stick, who's taught as the head or the next coach. Maybe. A little bit of reading into the future, perhaps. Congrats, Bok. You made my day. Good, I was worried about this game, says Tino Tender. And come to Cape Town. You won't be disappointed. I promise you've been voted best city in the world 2025, says Stephen there. And also, many thanks, Hamish. You are very welcome here in South Africa, says Gert. So, yeah, if I ever was going to end up in South Africa, I'd definitely have to let you guys know on the channel so that you can tell me all the best spots to go. We have got the donation, 9K in the chat. Hamish, great day, says Jimbo. Yeah, the live stream was absolutely hectic, I do have to say, but it is so greatly appreciated, all of you being here throughout these matches. Whether you popped in and you literally said hi, or whether you were here for the full match, even for that long build-up that we ended up doing, it is always very much appreciated, and we've got plenty more coming in the near future. Rugby Championship, still another match to be played in about 3.5 hours' time. That will be the contest taking place between New Zealand and Argentina as a daylight savings in New Zealand. I think it's in September, isn't it, that we have the daylight saving side of things. And come to Durban, says Tessa there. Yeah, so I definitely have to make a list of the locations to go, perhaps, and see what we can do. We have got the All Blacks will slaughter the Boks. Says Janine there in South Africa Tops. Thanks, Hamish. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and all are invited to my house for curry and rice. And thanks, Hamish. Catch up on the AB's game. Have a good morning. Says Zion, but nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we are closing in on the 70,000 subscribers. We are currently sitting 69,350. So we are getting very close. So if you haven't already and you're just about to pop away, be sure to hit that button. But thank you all very much for being here. 2.5 hours time or so is when we will be starting that matchup between New Zealand and Argentina. So be sure to check that out as well. But thank you all very much, and I will see you all for the next one.